2 balls, 1 strike to Jared Jones. Hernandez down at second base. Bottom of the ninth, tie game. This one hit in the air, line drive. It's off the glove of Kojal into center field. Here comes Hernandez. He is safe. Tigers win. Tigers win. They are headed to the championship series here in Omaha. Bye-bye, Arkansas. The Tigers celebrate in right center field. Jared Jones rips the cover off the baseball. Kojal couldn't hold it, and Arkansas' season is over.
6:05, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, off and running. Brian here with you, John LaBeouf producing. That is how it sounded last night, right down the hall on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. Of course, you're hearing Chris Blair on the call right there for the LSU Sports Radio Network as the Tigers put it into Arkansas season and, more importantly, move on to the finals in the College World Series. What's happening, everybody? We're getting you ready for a busy Thursday show. Yes, we are going to have a ton of audio from last night's game. We're also going to welcome Matt Musso to the show, back to the show in the 8 o'clock hour to preview what we're going to be getting from the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. We're going to take some more post-mortem on the legislative session. We got Crimestoppers. We got Cup of Tech Gumbo. We are loaded for bear. Let's get rolling. Loaded for bear. Get it? Bear Jones. Top stories and trending. Let's go.
Number 5.
Paul Arrigo, former head of Visit Baton Rouge, is being named to Destination International's 2025 Hall of Fame class. On top of his 20 years running Baton Rouge's Convention and Visitors Bureau, Arrigo has close to 50 years experience in the hospitality business, clearing the bar that Destination International sets for the distinction of advancing the travel industry and helping shape destination marketing for the better.
Number 4.
Today is Juneteenth, a federal holiday celebrating the emancipation of slaves in the United States. At government offices on all levels, federal, city, and state, will all be closed today. Of course, there will also be numerous events around the capital area to honor and celebrate the occasion.
Number 3.
Deputies arrested members of a street gang after a narcotics bust, according to the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office yesterday. Officials said the gang, known as 448, were involved in drug trafficking and violent crimes in Baton Rouge. Across 5 different addresses that were raided, officials seized nearly 30 pounds of marijuana, 4 ounces of crack cocaine, a 2019 Dodge Charger that was reported stolen, and $15,000 cash.
Number 2.
Got the latest update for you on Jimmy Swaggart's condition. He is still in critical condition, but Swaggart Ministries put out a press release yesterday saying Jimmy Swaggart Ministries continues to stand in faith as Reverend Swaggart remains in critical condition in the intensive care unit following cardiac arrest on Father's Day. They say at this time there has been no change in his condition. In a message shared with supporters during a Tuesday evening service, Pastor Donnie Swaggart, one of the 90-year-old evangelist, son of the 90-year-old evangelist, offered an honest and heartfelt update saying, quote, "I wish tonight I could stand here and tell you there's been a dramatic change, but I can't. We are still in a but God mode."
Number 1.
A Baton Rouge judge denied 41-year-old Gad Black bond Wednesday afternoon after he was accused of intentionally driving into a BRPD motorcycle officer. Black is charged with attempted first-degree murder, hate crimes, and resisting a police officer charges. He, of course, is the one who allegedly struck Caleb Eisworth along Joy Road on Monday, critically injuring the officer. Arrest records indicate that Black had a deep-rooted hatred for law enforcement. What's trending, John?
Well, a mural honoring Kip Holden, the late former mayor of Baton Rouge, will be dedicated this weekend at the Jewel J. Newman Community Center.
Did not know that was happening, but yeah, absolutely. Let's go. That's yeah.
For those interested in the event, it will be Saturday, June 21st at 9:30 a.m.
Okay.
Yep. Let's see. In other news, Super Bowl 44 hero and Port Allen native Tracy Porter will be inducted into the New Orleans Saints Hall of Fame later this year.
More on that in our Outside In segment to close out the show.
Yes, indeed.
Man, yeah. I just have the visual of the interception and the 70-yard run back. And
yeah.
So it's got to be the local call, right? It can't be the TV Super Bowl call. It's got to be Jim Henderson and Hokie Gajan.
Mm.
And, I miss Hokie so much. Anyway, Jim Henderson, because if I remember the call right, and like I said, we'll have it later on the show. If I remember the call right, as Henderson's trying to make the call of the interception, Hokie is just has a very satisfied laugh, and there's something special about it. You get a color commentator who just, who does it better than anybody? John Brady.
Yeah.
When you hear John Brady with that satisfied chuckle, you know something awesome is happening on the court. Same thing, Hokie Gajan, you knew something monumental was happening on the field in the middle of that. So, big shout out, not just Tracy Porter and Brett Maxey, but to the Saints for honoring Ed Daniels as well. Like I said, more on that coming up at the outside end.
Awesome. And speaking of sports, the Los Angeles Lakers are being sold for $10 billion to the current owner of the Los Angeles Dodgers, Mark Walter.
Yeah, so kind of this is what was dominating the headlines in the sports world last night while LSU is advancing to the College World Series Finals. Like the only thing happening on a field or court yesterday, everything else was in a boardroom as the Buss family is moving out, or will be. Actually, no, they won't be. Jeannie Buss is going to retain her spot as governor of the Lakers.
Oh, okay.
So, but I mean, she's selling ownership, but she's still going to have a say moving forward. But I mean, this end of the official end of the Showtime era. Yeah. It is 6:11 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. We got to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to start in with a whole bunch on last night's LSU baseball game. It will cover the next two segments, letting you know that right now. Before we take the break, though, let me remind you about the folks at the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. FlyBTR.com is the website. FlyBTR.com. When you're booking your travel, business or pleasure, do you just look at the price of the ticket, or do you take into account the overall experience? If you're just looking at the price of the ticket, well, I mean, there's a certain discount airline right down the road that's here for you. Okay, fine. But if you take into account the whole experience, and I mean, not having to drive an hour down the road, weighing the price of parking for as long as you're gone versus the price of your one-time ticket, the TSA experience, whether you're down there or up here, and above all, supporting a great local business. And one of the things about the Baton Rouge Metro Airport is the more we put into it, the more we get out of it. You want more direct flights? Fly out of BTR. You want to take advantage of the convenience that's in our backyard? Fly out of BTR. And like I said, if you want that overall experience, check out flybtr.com. They got the daily direct flight to Washington, D.C. That's just one of the many daily direct flights they've got. They got Dallas, Fort Worth, they got Houston, they got Charlotte, and so many others. Check them out at flybtr.com. Who is this guy? All right. Yeah. Do I? Well, most places. I think Fayetteville might be struggling this morning. I felt bad. LSU didn't win that game. Arkansas lost it.
Oh, absolutely.
The shortstop needs plenty of blame for going to third instead of tearing a double play. Turn a double play, game's over with.
Yeah.
It's over.
I mean, and Milam wasn't even running hard.
I know, because he knew it was over.
And that poor kid in left field.
No, I don't blame him at all.
No.
That was a bullet. Hernandez hit a bullet.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, he,
43 years and never see a game end even close to the way that ended.
No. Aside from Warren Morris, no. You know?
Yeah, but I mean, that, it wasn't about the fact that it was a walk-off. It's the way it was a walk-off. I mean, the way.
Oh, that ball's a half inch lower, and the second baseman makes the play.
Yeah. It was. And to hear the play-by-play guy just burying LSU, like, oh yeah, we'll see you guys here tomorrow night. You know, the last hour he was just preparing for Thursday night's game, and
I was producing, so.
oh, okay. I would rather have been able to listen to Chris Blair.
Well, turn down the sound on your TV. Turn up LSU Sports Radio.
Sometimes it doesn't work as well in baseball games as it does in football.
They put up how to do it. It's,
I know. I do it for football all the time. It just the sync doesn't work as well for baseball games for whatever reason. I've tried.
Interesting. .616 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We got a stacked up lineup for y'all. Let me give you the guest list before we hit up sports here. 6:35 Haggai Davis in for a cup of tech gumbo. 7:15 Jason DeCuir of Advances Consulting going to do a little post-mortem on the legislative session, specifically about some of the tax bills. 7:35 we got Lieutenant Don Capola and Crimestoppers. 8:15 back to LSU baseball with Matt Musso, host of Musso at the Box and producer of After Further Review. Going to take our first look at the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, and then we're going to go back to the legislative session to wrap up our guest list. State Representative Michael Melerine from Shreveport, Mr. Housley presumption, as it were. He got a huge bill across the finish line during the last legislative session. We will talk with him at 8:35. Right now, they're diving in to last night's ball game. 6-5, your final score. Man, I got to tell you, from a betting perspective, the over-under was 10.5. Yes, sir. Your boy was on the over last night, tied up at 3, and I'm like, yeah, this ain't happening. Arkansas goes up 5-3. I'm like, well, the good news is if I'm going to get the over, I'm going to get the win as well. And you know what? Pay dirt. Get the over, get the win. Got to love it. All right, LSU pulls out the 6-5 victory last night. A game that Haggai and I were talking during the break just now. You're not going to see another game like this. Or at least we haven't up until now. This was one that you remember the same way we remember Warren Morris, the same way we remember Ryan Terrio coming across home plate on Brad Cressy's hit. Like, those two were just great offensive performances in a clutch moment that got LSU over the finish line to a national championship. This was an entire series of serendipitous events that got LSU into the finals. Still got 2 more games to go, or 2 more wins to go. But it was the culmination of so many different things happening all at once. LSU down 5-3 in the bottom of the 9th. And by the way, with 2 outs, and then come back to beat Arkansas 6-5. Jared Jones, obviously player of the game. We're going to hear a lot of the audio of him in our next segment. But let's get to some audio from post game. Here is Jones talking about his clutch home run that tied things up at 3, and then says he was due for with that home run that tied it up at 3. He was due for a big hit off of Gackle, the Arkansas pitcher.
My approach is always to be on time for a fastball, and I was lucky enough to get one in the zone and put a good swing on it to tie the game. And then there in the 9th, they brought in Jimenez, and he's a great pitcher. Got to respect his slider, and was able to just kind of stay on it and do just enough to get it over the second baseman's head.
Now, getting over the second baseman's head is what brought in Luis Hernandez. By the way, Hernandez had tied the game with a 2-out double to left field that scored both Ethan Fry and Stephen Milam. Charles Davalin. So it looked like he went to go take a step back, lost his footing, and then he charged forward. That's where the ball was misjudged. If I'm not mistaken, it was ruled a double and not an error. Which, yeah, I know. on TV it was saying error. On the stat chart it was saying a double. Either way, you drive home too. Jones says it's like for these LSU Tigers, he wasn't surprised.
We've had a lot of these games throughout the season of whether we've had to fight back from being down or team ties it up late. We've kind of stuck with it no matter what.
We'll hear from Coach Jay Johnson and have a slew of highlights right after we check the Fox Business Report.
You know, it puts very. I mean, you know, this is another Tommy Banks walk-off kind of thing, because he hit the two-run home to get to the finals. You know, 2 years ago.
Tommy White.
Tommy White. What did I? I said Tommy.
You said Tommy Banks.
Oh, I meant to say Tommy Tanks. Excuse me. You're right.
'Troy says both teams had huge mental errors. LSU's were Dickinson making an awkward catch and a ground ball that didn't allow for the double play, and Bear not catching a ball on a double play that allowed 2 runs. Okay, so Bear not catching the ball on the double play, that wasn't on Bear. That was just, well, first of all, I don't know that the guy would have been out to begin with. But secondly, I'd have to go back and watch another replay of it. But secondly, I'm not putting that on him because he was completely stretched out and laid out in order to try to make that play happen. So, but you got 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth. Don't like, Arkansas lost it.
LSU had 3 errors last night.
Yeah. All right, let's head on back to the Shawbills Tire Traffic Center, see what we got going on this morning. Interstates-wise, you are going to find your normal, well, it's lighter than normal coming in from Denham Springs on I-12 westbound. It's not until you get into town that you'll see the congestion start to pick up or the volume start to pick up. But 12 westbound, while it might be a little bit heavy, is running smooth right now. 10 westbound coming in from Ascension Parish is looking smooth as well. 10 eastbound coming across from West Baton Rouge Parish is good to go. Both bridges are good to go. I-110 is good to go. Surface streets, there's only one thing to look out for. It's a stalled vehicle, and this is not anywhere near a heavily trafficked area for this time. Stalled vehicle, Eleanor at Linden. So if you just happen to be in that area, be on the lookout for it, but that's not going to jam up anybody's commute. That's your look at traffic from the Shawbills Tire Traffic Center.
I'm looking at the play-by-play from last night. Hernandez double still left.
Yeah. .624, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Getting back into recapping last night's game in just a second. Do need to ask you if you get your lunch plans yet. Yeah, it's a little early to start thinking about lunch, but why not? P.F. Chang's is here for you. P.F. Chang's is here for you with a fantastic Asian-inspired menu. When I say Asian-inspired, it's yes, they have a lot of traditional Chinese dishes, but there's a few where they just straight up get creative over there. The black pepper chicken is one of them. But if you want the Mongolian beef, they've got you covered. If you want that orange chicken, they've got you covered. The chicken lettuce wraps are phenomenal and just so light to make sure like you're not getting weighted down for the rest of your day. Hop into P.F. Chang's, get yourself a tasty meal, a flavorful meal, but also a meal that is not like your typical Chinese takeout. It's not just full of grease going to sit in your gut. You know where to find them. They're off Corporate Boulevard in Town Center. You look for the Giant Golden Horse. Lunch specials starting at $13.99. Dinner specials starting at $16.99. It's P.F. Chang's. All right, back to last night's post-game presser. Head coach Jay Johnson said, and Haggai, you mentioned this during the break. Head coach Jay Johnson said this game reminded him of 2 years ago when Tommy White launched the Tigers into the National Championship Series and ultimately the title with a walk-off home run against then top-seeded Wake Forest.
I said this literally probably 2 years ago to the day, the walk-off homer, Tommy against Wake Forest. Like I felt something in my body I've never felt before, and greatest moment of my life, and it now has it tied for first.
Okay, so let's dive into a little bit of the action last night and how it sounded on the LSU Sports Radio Network, shall we? Take you back to LSU trailing 1-0 heading into the sixth inning. Bottom of the sixth. Coach Johnson makes the call. Pinch hit, puts in Jake Brown for Stanfield, didn't he? Yeah. Puts in Jake Brown for Stanfield. You pull a guy, off the bench, comes in cold. You hope he can go from being cold to a hot bat very quickly, and that's what happened.
Gackles 1-1 pitch. Brown swings towards the alley, left center field. It's going to get down. That will score Fry. That will score Milam. Into third goes Pearson. And a two-run single to the alley in left center from the sophomore from Sulphur, Louisiana. I see you, Jake Brown. The Tigers lead 2-1.
Of course, Chris Blair.
That's a career-defining at bat for Jake Brown. One they won't forget very soon. Coming off the bench, facing a kid that has 15 strikeouts in 9 innings against the Tigers this year and lacing a line drive out in the left center, Bill. 2-out RBIs win championships.
Then, of course, Chris Blair and Doug Thompson on the call for the LSU Sports Radio Network. Bill Franquez was on the call as well last night. We will hopefully hear from him in just a little bit as part of a later highlight, time permitting. All right, fast forward to the 8th inning. After LSU goes up 2-1, Arkansas comes back and puts up a 3-2 lead. Bear Jones, well, that 3-2 lead wasn't going to hold.
There you Jones go. Swings high in the air, right center field. Going back. It is gone!
Yeah.
Justin Thomas Jr. kept running, and eventually runs out of real estate as Jared Jones with home run number 22. 64th of his career. And the second here in Omaha ties it up with one swing of the bat. We're tied 3-all.
Tell you what, let's rewind the clock to, I believe it was a pitch before that. LSU had 2 quick outs in the 8th before Jones stepped in the box. And the guys were talking up at the booth. And I love when stuff like this happens. Doug Thompson, just talking amongst them right before Jones comes up, talks about how you don't want to see 2 quick outs at a time like this. You want kind of an elongated inning. In fact, he went on not only to say you want an elongated inning, but if you can't get an elongated inning, then what's the next best option?
Was hoping the first 2. I was hoping, Bill, this was one of the innings where we get that leadoff runner aboard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now we need the solo homer. Got to have it.
I mean, Doug is like infamous for that. He does that all the time.
But everybody watching the game when Bear Jones comes, okay, we need a homer here. We need a homer.
I understand, but Doug is like so frequent. It happens a lot. So fast forward to the 9th inning. Of course, Bear Jones was going to come up again, but before Bear Jones, you've got 2 on, 2 out. Luis Hernandez at the bat.
The 1-0 from Gibbler. Swung on, a line drive to left field, coming in, diving. It's going to be Davalon, and he missed it. It's over in the corner. Coming in to score is Fry. They'll send in Milam, and we are tied at 5-all. Hey now.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Can't get better than that. Fast forward to the next batter because now we're tied at 5. Brings up Bear Jones once again, and
2 balls, 1 strike to Jared Jones. Hernandez down at second base. Bottom of the 9th, tie game. This one hit in the air, line drive. It's off the glove of Kojal into center field. Here comes Hernandez. He is safe. Tigers win. Tigers win. They are headed to the championship series here in Omaha. Bye-bye, Arkansas. The Tigers celebrate in right center field. Jared Jones rips the cover off the baseball. Kojal couldn't hold it, and Arkansas's season is over.
LSU's is not. They'll take on Coastal Carolina Saturday, 6 p.m., the first of best 2 out of 3 set right there. 6:30, here's news.
Honestly, if you want to spend another half hour talking about last night's game instead of anything technology, I'm good with it.
That's not the worst idea. No, there are a couple things we want to cover. Yeah, I didn't even get to the pitching.
Oh, yeah.
Zach Cowan, holy crap. Jaden Newt. Oh, grab, just so we have it on hand, I believe it's 6.2. Newt's first strikeout.
Oh, by the way.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah, that was. Do you have the new intro?
So I don't know if it's loaded in here, but I do have it in Adobe.
Okay, then let's just play it out of Adobe for today, and then after the show, make sure it's loaded for next week. So, yeah, I don't normally give out somebody's phone number without their permission, but this was.
You have my permission. Yeah, you have my blessings.
Well, and I know Randy real well, so I know it's not going to get abused.
No.
When was that?
I don't know, but
I think I was in New Orleans at the time. Was that like it was over a week ago?
he called me yesterday, but he said he's been listening to us on Thursday mornings for a long time, and he's listened to a bunch of Tech Jumbos now, and just really likes the whole format and the way we do things, and the fact that we don't do anything political.
Let's make some money.
Oh yeah. Daddy got bills to pay.
Paying off the whatever you had to fix
The home.
the house. Yeah.
Yeah, we spent $60,000 in about 6 months. Almost, no, I take that back. $75,000.
We got so many things stacked up at the house that have to be fixed, but it like
No,
We've got-
you're in prime spending mode.
yeah, I know, but like between college tuition
That's what I'm saying.
and
With you got back-to-back colleges coming through. I mean, did you get a pay raise when she left the academy to go to college?
no, because she went out of state.
Oh,
We'll find out long term. She's like she was a tenth of a point off from all the scholarship. Like, so if she can earn her way through the first year, we'll see it pay off long term.
good.
Yeah.
happening, John? You recovered from the estrogen overload on Tuesday?
So, you saw that?
Man, I tell you, I have never had more diverse response to a show.
Oh, it was great.
I had easily a half dozen women in the last 2 days thank me for allowing her to do that. And I'm like, I trust Betsy. I mean, she's a little crazy, but that's okay. But then I've had like 2 people come back to me and say that was the worst radio I've ever heard in my life.
I think it might have been. It was easier for me because I could see who was talking. I don't know how a listener would be able to distinguish who's who and
See,
what.
I was watching it, and so
Yeah.
it was easier. To
Yeah, see, it was
follow.
way better watching it. It was
Yeah.
easier for me to keep
Right.
up. But as a listener, I don't know if I would have been able to.
I thought it was great. I love Betsy as well. I mean,
Oh, she's amazing. Like, she's so good.
crazy,
So
but it's a
cool.
good crazy.
Yeah. So cool.
Just hit it.
Oh, okay.
Tell you who else made an error that doesn't get recorded as an error? Jay Johnson. Jay Johnson missed a big one in, I forget which inning it was, 4th or the 5th. We had our 3rd batter of the inning strike out swinging. Maybe it was Milam, I don't know. Strikeout swinging, pass ball on the strikeout, or the catcher drops the ball on the strikeout, has to throw it down to first base. The first baseman catches the ball on the green bag,
Didn't challenge that.
didn't challenge it.
What he's allowed to go to that side.
You
If-
can't make an out on the green bag. You have to be on the white bag to make the out. The green bag is there for the runner to not step on the first baseman.
Okay.
Yep.
I thought-
I looked it up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. 637 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. We're getting to a cup of tech gumbo in just right at 60 seconds. I do need to remind you about the folks at the Louisiana Beef Industry Council. BeefIt'sWhat'sForDinner.com is the website. BeefIt'sWhat'sForDinner.com. Why are you going to BeefIt'sWhat'sForDinner.com? Just learn about some recipes, maybe pick up the nutritional information, maybe help prepare your game on the grill, help up your game on the grill by visiting BeefIt'sWhat'sForDinner.com. Get a few of those grilling tips, a few of those hacks, if you will. The Louisiana Beef Industry Council brings you Foodie Friday every Friday throughout the grilling season, Memorial Day through Labor Day. Tomorrow, Wagyu hot dogs. Wagyu ribeye burgers, I believe. Wagyu hot dogs, and I believe some steaks as well. The great folks from Chris's Specialty Foods are going to be in the house for Foodie Friday tomorrow, and of course, it's brought to you by the Louisiana Beef Industry Council. All right, cup of tech gumbo. Let's roll. Morning, Haggai.
Hi, Brian.
Late night last night?
You know, Brian, not often you can hear me say this, but if you don't want to talk tech for the next half hour and just talk LSU baseball, I'm here for it.
All right, I tell you, let's dabble real quick because there's some good topics in this week's episode.
Look, I've been going to LSU baseball games since 1982.
Mhm.
Back when I was in college, and there's been maybe 4 games in all the 43 years of watching LSU baseball that was as exciting as that one.
Yeah.
That was so much fun.
But I'm willing to wager here, and correct me if I'm wrong, the other 3 all ended with a title.
Oh yeah.
None of the other 3 got you towards a title series. The other 3 ended with a title.
Some of the titles we were up big and it was and it was over with early.
Mhm.
But certainly Warren Morse is going to be number 1. Always will be.
Yeah.
Never going to get close to that. But this was in Ryan Terrio, running down, that was
Cressy driving in Terrio.
Cressy driving. That's probably going to be number 2. But this is right up there. I mean, that was so much fun to watch, and the fact that they just wouldn't give up. They were not going to be denied. That was just so much fun to watch. This is why I love LSU baseball.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. Yes, I would have.
Arkansas stumbled. Arkansas they tripped over themselves. They did, but LSU didn't quit.
Right.
They could have very easily rolled up and said, "Okay, we'll get out there tomorrow and try tomorrow."
And that's the biggest point. Isn't that the biggest point? Is when you had tomorrow. For Arkansas, there was no tomorrow. For LSU, there was a tomorrow. There very well should have been a game this evening. Would have been the exact same time, and LSU would have gone back at it and hopefully, righted everything they did wrong last night the same way Little Rock did it in the regional, forcing an extra game. LSU had that comfort, that parachute. Not parachute.
The safety net.
Yes, the safety net. To be able to say, let's just pack it in, come back, and whip their butts tomorrow. But they didn't.
No.
And now
we're set up. Or we set up, I mean, give me a 2 out of 3 with Anderson and Ianson against anybody.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, look, I know Coastal Carolina hasn't lost a game in over a month.
They're a good team.
Yeah. Well, they won like their last 26 in a row.
I mean, they are a really good team. So this is not going to be just a cakewalk. But give me my 2 guys.
Well, yeah.
To start on the mound against anybody, let's go. And then this team backing them up, I'm here for it.
Yeah. That's so many great defensive plays last night.
Oh, yeah.
John, grab 1.1. I got to hear one of them.
Oh.
Milam in the first inning.
Play it.
Oh, my goodness gracious. It's going to take him a second to pull it up. But you talk about defensive plays, like right out the blocks last night, top of the first, and Stephen Milam doing Stephen Milam things.
In 3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out here, just underway, top of the first. Cowan delivers. Ground ball, Milam sliding, backhand grab, the throw to first, 1 hop in time. Aloy retired on a fantastic 6-3 put out by Stephen Milam, Alert Sports Center.
and we got 1 more year of Milam here, and it's getting, it's going to be hard to say this without smiling. Who was that other guy from New Mexico that played shortstop? Everybody's forgetting now because of Milam being as great as he is.
I mean,
that's totally
no,
joking,
no, I know.
But I mean,
nobody's forgetting him.
Nobody's going to replace Bregman on the pantheon of LSU baseball. But
where's my salsa at?
Oh, you got the Reggae Bombs over there.
They changed the name to Wild Soul.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, these guys are just different. They're so good, so much fun to watch, and I'm here for it. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. Saturday, 6 p.m. Oh, by the way, we didn't even talk about the pitching. Everything I did in the first 2 segments, didn't even mention the pitching. How about Zach Cowan, 4.2? How about Zach Cowan, who everyone was thinking, okay, get him through. And I should have recorded this. I should have kept this as well because I was producing last night. I should have kept this. As they went through the lineup the first time, when the second time around through Arkansas's lineup, Doug Thompson said, here's where it's going to get interesting because they've all seen him now. And nobody ever, you probably expect 2.5 to 3 innings, maybe get you into the 4th, maybe.
You were hoping for get through the lineup once.
That second time through the lineup was
Johnny Holstaff takes over, but he just kept going and mowing him down.
And gives up the 1 home run. And then what does he do after giving up the 1 home run? Not once, but twice does this.
Here's the 0-2.
Yep.
That one a called strike. At the belt outer portion, back-to-back punch-outs. Cowan now with 5 on the evening, and there's 2 gone. Well, I like the fight in Zach Cowan after giving up the leadoff home run.
No doubt. 1 strikeout is awesome. 2's even better.
There's ways you can respond to things in life. And you give up a home run on your second time through. You're in the 4th inning. You've done what people have expected you to do. Or you could bow up and say, bleep you, I'm coming back at it.
This was just a different level of game I mean, Newt comes in, he does his job.
Yes, Newt did his job. So Newt only got one strikeout, which you're not expecting him to get strikeouts. But this was another great call. I'm sorry, I'm overrunning the whole segment with the highlights.
Please do. I'm much more excited about LSU baseball right now than I am Tech Gumbo. And I love Tech Gumbo, but give me some baseball today.
So Newt's one strikeout was against the guy who was tearing the cover off the ball. Bill Frank has made mention of it on the front end. Do you have I believe it's 6.2? Newt's K? Okay, hit that.
Big challenge here for Jaden. Kojal's hitting .433 with runners in scoring position.
I hate when you say stuff like that, Bill.
The 2-2. Swing
Yes, sir.
and a miss. That's why I said it. Ran the fastball up the ladder. Kojal down on strikes, and Jaden Newt with his first, and it's a big one.
Bill Frank is. That's why I said it. Oh, so good. I don't know how to pivot here. We got a minute till break.
Having Shores come in and throwing gas. I mean, 101 mile an hour pitches.
So if I can Monday morning quarterback or Thursday morning quarterback anything, I would have left Shores in a little bit longer because you don't go. They threw 4 right-handers last night.
Mm-hmm.
You don't go from 101 mile an hour right-hander to 92 mile an hour right-hander and expect a better result. So I
would have gone to Cooper as well, but then again, the next baseball game I coach will be the first.
I'm there with you, but it's difficult to look back on it and second guess Jay Johnson because we got the win. But I don't think we go down 5-3 if you give. And I know he overvalues that righty-lefty matchup. He puts way too much emphasis on that,
and the shift as well.
Yeah. Anyway, it all
The shift drives me crazy.
It just feels weird.
Just
because there's so much unprotected space.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, we got a break. That was nothing technological about that segment. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about. We're actually going to dive into a cup of Tech Gumbo when we come back. Right now, take a quick break. Where I want to start when we come back, the Worldwide Developer Conference. That's next on Talk 107.3. Good morning, Christy. Welcome in, sweetheart.
Morning, Christy.
5 things Apple showed off at the WWDC.
Yeah. That's so disappointing. That's all you got? Really? You can put a poll inside your text messages? Man.
The call screening one was the one that I want. That one's the one that I saw as a big one.
We have that now. It's already been. That's in iOS 17. When you get a call and you press the voicemail button, you can see who's leaving you a message, and you can still answer in the middle of the call instead of in the middle of them leaving a voice message.
Really?
Yes. So it's nothing new. They're making it better, but yeah, this is.
Oh, I don't know if you've seen it yet. We are now in the world of baby AI on Talk 107.3.
Really? Oh yeah, I did see you. Yes.
Wait till you see what we post next week. We're gonna do one a week. You're gonna be in this, by the way.
Okay.
Eventually. We're gonna baby AI you.
All right.
But I know, like, I look somewhere in between the E-Trade baby and Dave Ramsey. But wait until you see how adorable Baby Moon is. He looks so happy.
Oh yeah.
So the new thing on the new AI thing is plugging in a picture and asking AI to predict what's going to happen next. And it's all over TikTok now, and it's all batshit crazy.
Yeah, it's people are starting to learn to play with it more and more and more, and the more insane things happen, it's funny.
Oh, okay. So select a. I just pulled this, so I haven't seen this one yet. Select a random photo, and AI will predict what happens next. So that was just a picture. That started with a picture. Yeah.
AI took a
There we go. This will be good. What? There's one of a guy. He's sitting in a chair, and what happens next is he gets attacked by a monkey. Good morning, Christy. .652 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Cup of Tech Gumbo rolling right along. Big thanks to the break for allowing us a smooth transition. Actually, talk tech this morning. All right, let's dial it back to the WWDC, the Worldwide Developer Conference. Apple showed off 5 things. I thought 2 of them were good, but you've already pooped on one of them during the break, Haggai. Let's talk about Apple shows off 5 things. Okay, group text polls. This tell me what it is first to make sure I have it right.
Let's say you've got a group text messaging going with 10 of your friends, and you're just trying to decide where you want to go to dinner tonight. Now you can drop a poll in the middle of your text and say, okay, are we going to P.F. Chang's for lunch, and everybody can vote yes or no or something like that. I mean, this is not a new technology, but this is something that Apple is real excited about, and this is where Apple is now. They are, number one, they've been doing sequential operating systems, 14, 15, 16, 17. Now they've decided the next operating system is going to be 26 because it's going to be for the year 2026. They've totally done away with their naming structure. They picked up the Microsoft naming structure, just random things. Then last year, if you'll remember, all of the Apple iPhone commercials were talking about AI, where you could do so many different things with AI, and then they didn't release it. And now there's multiple class action lawsuits that they were lied to, that people were lied to with these commercials. And Apple is saying, oh, sorry, we thought it was ready, but it's not. And they are so desperate. They're rolling out call screening like that's going to be a big thing.
Okay, but I get a lot of spam calls.
Sure.
And it says spam risk on it.
Absolutely. And look, anytime you can do anything to help alleviate spam or phone calls you don't want, that's great. But in iOS 17, the current operating system, you can press the voicemail button when a call comes in, and you can look at the text of the voice message somebody's leaving you. And if you want, you can jump into the middle of the call while somebody is leaving you that message. You can do that today.
See, I didn't know I could do that right now.
And
I thought once it went to voicemail, I had to wait and then respond to the voicemail.
And so, but they're going to make it better. This isn't, so it's not, they're not releasing anything brand new. They're just tweaking some things. This is, and it just sounds like Apple has gotten really desperate for anything because the big swings they took, they swung and missed at.
Mm-hmm.
And, they've got live translation is going to be a big thing. Well, I've got the Google Translation app on my iPhone that works really well.
Well, and like they sell headphones on TikTok now that translate 100 languages.
And ChatGPT app and Google Gemini app, and everybody's already doing language translation for a long time.
Yeah, the language translation wasn't the other one that I was impressed with. I felt like the language translation is a step behind. The one that I like is the spatial images.
Okay, this nice.
One, thank you.
This is, but again, it's being able to give a picture more depth when and so. That's good, but is that the reason I'm going to go out and buy the iPhone 18?
No. It's not, but it's one that if you already have the iPhone, it would be nice to. A perfect example. Last summer, vacation in Pigeon Forge. Take a picture with my son on top of a mountain up at Ober-Gatlinburg, right?
Right.
It would be a lot cooler if that picture showed the actual depth of the background,
Sure.
It would. I'm not saying I want to scroll through my photos and get vertigo, but to be able to recognize, wow, y'all are up there.
So they're bringing Photoshop into the iPhone, or they're doing what the Google phone has been doing for quite some time. So great. And I'm an iPhone user. I got an iPhone. Okay, so I'm not bashing the iPhone here. I'm just disappointed that Apple thinks these are the 5 things they get so excited about. This is what they led off with their Worldwide Developer Conference about. And all of these are retreads of things that everybody's been doing for a long time.
I'm torn on this, though, because, the iPhone is the iPhone. And until it's not the pinnacle, do they really have to completely reinvent themselves every time out?
The iPhone is the pinnacle. It's 80% of the market in the United States.
Right.
It's 20% of everywhere else in the world.
No, I understand that.
And so yes, iPhone can sit here. It's kind of like, they're sitting on their laurels. They're on the throne here in the U.S. because they are king. But the king's going to get the crown knocked off pretty quick if they don't really start developing and coming up with something better than what they've been doing. Apple really needs Steve Jobs back is part of the problem. And then he's not coming back, so I get that.
AI Steve Jobs?
Ooh, could it be? But
the problem with AI Steve Jobs is only Steve Jobs could come up with that idea.
There you go. And I mean, Apple has just not been innovative in any kind of way on the iPhone in a decade. And that's the problem. People are getting bored with their smartphones.
Well, they can look at people's individual private chats with Meta's AI app.
Oh, now this is creepy.
We got about a minute left. So.
Okay. You can go to Meta's AI, to their large language model, and you can start reading things that other people are asking the AI. And if they're talking to it, you can listen to the conversation, and you can tag that back to people's Facebook and Instagram accounts.
Someone else's private conversation?
Yes, with the AI bot.
Right.
And this is just really creepy on so many levels. And it just reeks that Facebook has this AI and has no idea what to do with it.
Yeah.
And
except violate people's privacy.
Yeah.
But let me air quote privacy. If you're hopping on Meta's AI, then you know nothing's safe, nothing's private.
Well, you assume that, you hope people know that, but a lot of people don't.
He's Haggai Davis. Get your full serving of Tech Gumbo Saturdays and Sundays right here on Talk 107.3 FM, and of course everywhere you get your podcasts. We got news coming your way. Stick around during the break. I want to talk to you about something else as well.
Go Tigers.
Yes, go Tigers. Hour 2 is coming up next right here on Talk 107.3 FM. We'll recap the legislative session with Jason DeCuir, and we'll have Crimestoppers as well. So just got back from orientation at Southern Miss.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's go Tigers is one thing. Southern Miss to the top is another. We are so sold. Sold. That being said, we sat through an entire session on AI and the uses in the classroom and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Which basically it was, if you are stumped for an idea, use AI for an idea. If you need to write your entire paper, do not do that. It was the most rudimentary. Like, I don't want to crap on
it was a practical. It sounds
yes, it was, but at the same time, though, I feel like colleges and universities aren't ready to maximize. Like AI right now in school, AI in the educational space is now where QR codes were for marketing 15 years ago. Like we had no idea what to do with it.
So we've talked about it in the past. Generational changes happen 10 to 20 years at a time.
Yeah.
We're 2.5 years into this large language model and ChatGPT being out in the open market. And we still have no idea as a society how to deal with this. We are making up rules daily and changing the rules from yesterday. Yeah. Because this is new. Oh then we're going to do it this way. Oh, then we're going to do it this way. And things are happening so fast. The only thing that you can do is learn to use this. It's a tool. We've said it over and over and over. It's a tool. Learn to use the tool.
Right.
And no, AI is not going to replace you. ChatGPT is not going to replace you. The person who knows how to use ChatGPT the best is who's going to replace you.
Right. Yeah, because it's all based on input.
It's knowing how to use the tool. It's no different than Bear Jones can swing a baseball bat a hell of a lot better than me. I'm never going to replace him.
Right.
But there's going to be somebody coming along in the next several years who can swing a bat better than him and replace him because they learned how to use the tool better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you have to do. And so these colleges, they're telling these kids, look, we know you're going to use it. We're not stupid. But
no, they're telling, we want you to use it.
Yes, you've got to use it because it's the future. It is reality. It's like saying, if you go back over the last 20 years telling kids they can't use Google or you can't use the internet.
Right.
Well, that's not real.
Right.
And so, okay, use the tool to create an outline. Use the tool to give you some ideas. Do not have the tool write your entire paper.
Right.
If you're stuck on a couple of paragraphs, have it write a paragraph, and then you make the paragraph your own. I use the summary that I send you for our shows. I dump that into ChatGPT. All of those notes, here's my summary. Summarize that, and so I get those bullet points. ChatGPT does that for me.
So the entire session, like there was a 5-minute presentation and like 15 minutes worth of Q&A.
Mm-hmm.
And basically all the Q&A, Haggai, felt like they were fishing for ideas. Like the administration's like, help us.
Yes.
Help us learn how to use this.
Help us make the rules as we go along.
Right. And that was, and of course parents in the room are giving ideas like, how can your kids be using, and they kept saying ChatGPT. And the thing is, like when you sign up for your, all your student email and everything, student emails run through Outlook, so you get a full-on Outlook account, which means you get Copilot.
Yep.
So, but like, I was like, do you get Copilot? And the teacher the person who was doing the presentation kind of like looks at me quizzically and goes, yes.
If you get anything Microsoft, you're getting Copilot. So yes.
But
there's also Google Gemini.
Right.
There's Anthropic's Claude. There's so many of these other large language models that are out there that are really good.
So here's a follow-up question for you from a student's standpoint is, if everything's ChatGPT and you are looking to get away with having a full paper written or something, and you used a different large language model, is ChatGPT going to recognize the same? You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah. So it's going to recognize, if it knows what your writing style is,
mm-hmm.
and Gemini or Claude generates this report, and the teacher dumps it in and says, "Oh, well, that doesn't match what Brian does. That's not how he's written in the past. That looks AI generated."
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, the other thing was it's like they're like, how would your student use ChatGPT? And the answers were coming in like meal prep,
whatever.
So good. 7:05 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. Brian here with you, John LaBeouf producing. We are starting off your second hour at 76 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Thanks again to Haggai Davis for sitting in for a cup of tech gumbo and for a couple of bonus minutes as we rolled through the news right there. Cup of tech gumbo, as I'm sure every conversation I have today is going to be an even split between the intent of the conversation and a recap of last night's LSU win. So hard pressed not to dive back in on that. It's one of those mornings that just feels good in Baton Rouge. Not weather-wise. It's muggy as you know what. But it's one of those mornings that just everything will bounce off you because of the Tigers' 6-5 win last night, which, by the way, we'll be talking about in our 8 o'clock hour with Matt Musso. Right now, though, let's start the 7 o'clock hour off. Top stories and trending. Let's go.
Number 5.
How about it for old Paul Arrigo, huh? Our guy, Paul Arrigo, former head of the Visit Baton Rouge, is being named to Destination International's 2025 Hall of Fame class. Now, Arrigo, of course, headed up for 20 years the Baton Rouge Convention and Visitors Bureau, a.k.a. Visit Baton Rouge. But on top of that, he's got close to 50 years in the hospitality business, which Destination International, when they pick their Hall of Fame class every year, they look for people that clear the bar in the travel industry, helping shape destination marketing for the better. And this year, Arrigo got the nod.
Number 4.
Today is Juneteenth, of course, a federal holiday celebrating the emancipation of slaves in the United States. Government offices on all levels are closed today. Federal, state, and city offices are all closed today. And, of course, there are numerous events in and around the area to honor and celebrate the occasion.
Number 3.
Deputies arrested members of a street gang after a narcotics bust, according to the sheriff's office. Officials said the gang, known as 448, were involved in drug trafficking and violent crimes in Baton Rouge. The 5 different addresses were raided. Officials, he's nearly 30 pounds of marijuana, 4 ounces of crack cocaine, a 2019 Dodge Charger that was reported stolen, and 15 grand cash.
Number 2.
A Baton Rouge judge denied 41-year-old Gad Black bond yesterday afternoon after he was accused of intentionally driving into a BRPD motorcycle officer. Black is charged with attempted first-degree murder, hate crimes, and resisting a police officer charges. He's, of course, accused of, he's the one who allegedly struck Sergeant Caleb Eisworth, who remains in critical condition, struck him along Jor Road on Monday, critically injuring the officer. Arrest records indicate that Black had a, quote, deep-rooted hatred of law enforcement.
Number 1.
Officials said one person's dead after being hit by a vehicle on Highland Road early this morning. St. George Fire Department said Highland Road at Petroleum Drive was closed around 1:45 a.m. This was due to an emergency incident. Officials later confirmed it was a fatal crash involving a pedestrian. State police is investigating the crash. The identity of the victim was not immediately released. What's trending, John?
Well, a mural honoring Kip Holden, the late former mayor of Baton Rouge, will be dedicated this weekend at the Jewel J. Newman Community Center.
3-term mayor, first African-American mayor in Baton Rouge's history. That's, please, Kip. I mean, it's just, yeah.
For sure.
Just, I don't know. A cheerleader for the city, to be sure.
Yes.
If you live in St. George, you probably have, or if you're part of the St. George movement, probably have a different opinion of Kip. But all things considered, when you broaden out to the full scope of his time as mayor and president of East Baton Rouge, it's well earned, well deserved.
Yes, indeed. And speaking of well earned and well deserved, Super Bowl 44 hero and Port Allen native Tracy Porter will be inducted into the New Orleans Saints Hall of Fame later this year.
Yep, him and Tracy Porter and Brett Maxey And really, the difference between the two could not be more than I mean, you're talking night and day here. Tracy Porter had a 70-yard interception return for a touchdown to ice the Super Bowl. I mean, he picked off Peyton Manning and ran it back. Brett Maxey, different era for the Saints, to be sure. Similar position. I mean, Porter was a corner and Maxey was a safety. So, but I mean, Brett Maxey, nowhere near the level of success with the Saints. Not his fault, but just a different era. Also of note, there's the Saints Hall of Fame every year. They select this special award to give out. This year it's going out to Ed Daniels.
Okay.
Which, awesome.
Yeah.
Ed Daniels, of course, passing away just before football season last year. If you grew up in and around the New Orleans area, you knew his impact on local sports, not just with his coverage of the Saints, but all the way down to the prep level, all the way down to the high school level. Ed Daniels was synonymous with football, with sports in and around the New Orleans area, and an all-around good dude as well. So good on the Saints for giving that nod to Ed Daniels.
Yes, indeed. Much deserved. Keeping it sports-related, the Los Angeles Lakers are being sold for $10 billion to the current owner of the Los Angeles Dodgers.
So the Buss family moving out.
Yeah.
And Walters is his last name?
Yes, Mark Walters.
Mark Walters. I'm torn on this because every era ends, especially when you're talking about a family owning a business. And the Buss family, of course, was the owners here. Now, Jeannie Buss is still going to maintain her position as governor of the Lakers. I don't know what that looks like, but governor of the Lakers. I don't know for how long either. But this is, I mean, dialing it back to my childhood, like before the Jordan era was the Magic and Bird era, the Showtime Lakers era, the era where, you had Magic and Kareem, and you had James Worthy and Byron Scott and Michael Cooper with the pulled-up socks. Who remembers Michael Cooper with the pulled-up socks? Who remembers Kurt Rambis with the goggles? Like, that image will forever be the Lakers to me. Kobe and Shaq, slightly less. But it was the Magic and Kareem Lakers, the James Worthy Lakers. That's the Lakers. That's the Showtime Lakers for me. So, end of an era, to be sure. We're at 712 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Before we take our break, got to remind you about Landmark Bank, landmarkbankla.com, landmarkbankla.com. Founded in 1897 as a community bank. And over the next 100-plus years, they grew into a community bank, remaining true to their mission. From 1897 to 2025, you're going to find them in the surrounding areas around Baton Rouge. You're going to find them in Zachary. You're going to find them in Denham. You're going to find them in Clinton. You're going to find them on the west side in Brewley. You're not going to find them in downtown Baton Rouge. They don't want to be a city bank. They want to be a community bank. They want to make sure that you have a banker, someone who can help guide you through your banking decisions, whether you're talking about just something as simple as opening a checking account or borrowing money to add on to a house or buying a whole house altogether, or maybe in the business world, if you're making that entrepreneurial jump, they've got you covered there too. Learn more at landmarkbankla.com. All right, quick break when we come back. Post-mortem on the session from Jason DeCuir from Advantage Consulting next. Oh, man. 7:15, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. All right, 1 week ago today, 6 p.m. or 5:55, I believe it was, the legislative session for 2025 closed. Joining us for more of a recap is Jason DeCuir from Advantage Consulting. He's on now. Jason, how are you, man?
I'm good. First of all, Brian, can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay. I had to drive down the mountain this morning to make sure I didn't have reception up in my cabin. I'm here for my 10-year-old's little World Series in Pigeon Forge. So.
Oh, well, okay. I wish you would have said that. We could have punted on this, man.
No. Look, for you, bro, I love nothing more. Get up and talk a little session with you.
So Pigeon Forge is fantastic. We were talking about Pigeon Forge earlier. It's such a fantastic place with the that whole Cal Ripken complex. Is that where he's at?
That's where we are. You know all about it. It's my first time. It's quite a production they put on.
Is it your first time to Gatlinburg Pigeon Forge?
It is, Brian.
Okay.
My first time here. I've heard a lot about it, and you know the scenes and obviously the views are breathtaking. It's a beautiful area.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I will tell you this though: all the pancake places are overpriced.
Yeah, they have a lot of them, don't they?
They do. I don't understand it. There's so many different pancake places, and it's like, I get it.
Well, my guess is because of all the kids that come here. When I walk downtown Gatlinburg, don't take this the wrong way. It kind of reminded me of a Bourbon Street for kids.
I can see that. I can see that. Bourbon Street for kids is a good. Well, and then you got the old Smoky Distilleries there, so the grown-ups can still check in. But
that's right. That's right.
I always figured the pancake places were a matter of it's something that'll cost you 2 cents per meal, and you could charge $12 for it, and you can't screw it up.
No, that's right.
So
that's right. Oh man, but it's been an interesting trip. The only thing I had to add to your segment right before mine is Michael Thompson and AC Green. Don't forget about those guys.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Oh, Michael with a Y. Michael Thompson and AC Green. How could I forget?
And he's relevant now because his son is still playing.
That's right. Forget about that, Klay Thompson. Absolutely.
That's right.
But yeah, that's the era right there, man. That's the Showtime.
That's when basketball was basketball.
Okay.
Now I'm not a fan of this stuff today.
Yes and no. I'm with you. I'm the Magic and Bird era. I'm 100% the Jordan era. As soon as Latrell Sprewell went to choke PJ Carlissimo, I clocked out.
Yeah. Well, I just like the game when there were 5 true positions, right? You had center and you had post play, and now your 7-footers shoot 3-pointers, and center is a lost art. I mean, a guy like Shaq these days, I don't know where you'd put him.
I mean, yeah, that's there is no 1 through 5 anymore. There's no there's no 3-guard. There's no Craig Hodges anymore.
No, you don't move the ball around and take shots. Whoever dribbles it up gets the shot off. So anyway, it's whatever your preference is. I will watch the finals, but most importantly, I watched LSU come back yesterday.
Okay, 2 minutes on that, and then we got to recap the legislative session. Your takeaways last night were what?
Man, look, I mean, LSU just continued to fight. They were never out of it. I thought that home run by Bear Jones, he really said, look, I want to redeem myself. We could have been out of this thing. And the ball just, baseball, the ball has to bounce your way, right? The kid could have made a double play. He chose to get the runner out at third, hit a ball that should have been caught in left field. It bounces to the corner, probably the only way you score both of those runs. And, I mean, that's just – it's I don't want to say I feel for Arkansas, but it's tough luck, and that's sometimes the way the baseball bounces.
No, I do feel for him because, I mean, take into account, yes, the shortstop going to third instead of turning 2. That was a mental error. Physical error when the left fielder, he lost his footing coming back forward. That was the difference in that one, was losing his footing coming back forward. And then the difference of a half an inch. Bear Jones is walk-off singles a half an inch lower, that ball gets caught.
Yeah, and you say that, though, Brian, that's Arkansas's flaws. But look, if Bear Jones catches that ball at first, 2 more runs don't advance. If Jake Brown doesn't slip in the throwdown going from first to second, we score another run right there because it crosses the plate. So it happened to both sides.
No, it did. It did. It just, when it shows up in the bottom of the ninth, it gets to be that much more glaring. So
that's right.
Either way, Coastal Carolina on Saturday. Looking forward to it.
Man, they look tough. Oh God, they looked up.
They haven't lost in over. They've won 26 straight. It just, I don't know.
Yeah, the next closest team with a win streak coming into a championship game is like 17 or 18.
Yeah. So this is a revenge spot for LSU.
Yep.
Because when Coastal won their championship, they came through LSU.
But we should have the full arsenal available. So.
But it's also a revenge spot for Jay Johnson, because when they got to Omaha, Arizona was there.
That's right.
All right. Postmortem on the legislative.
Yeah,
it's going to be a hoot. It is going to be a hoot. Postmortem on the legislative session. We covered a lot of ground last week. We're probably going to repeat some of that this morning. Your biggest takeaways were what?
Well, my biggest takeaway, big picture, right? I mean, this was a fiscal tax section, and a lot of times you and I were talking like, hey, Jason, sometimes we forget this is actually a fiscal and a tax session,
right,
because there's so many other issues that dominated the headlines. In my 25 plus years of doing this, a fiscal session, you just saw hundreds of tax bills being moved around, that sort of thing. That was kind of at a minimum. And the issues that dominated this session, I mean, you know what they are: insurance reform, carbon capture, legacy lawsuit, the Gator program and whether or not you're going to fully fund it, restructuring of Department of Transportation and Development, and now they have a new secretary. And then, obviously the PBM issue at the end, which you and I talked about, and that kind of segues into the governor already talking about calling a special session. If you see some of the releases from him and some of the comments, he's still interested in getting this PBM thing done, and he's not happy that his Gator program did not get fully funded. It was about halfway funded, and he's talking as if he's gonna call them back in. But those were the big ticket issues that dominated the session. On the tax front, we know that since Constitutional Amendment number 2 did not pass in March, legislators had to figure out how they were going to deal with that. They attempted to break it out into 5 parts, which we discussed ad nauseum, but 3 of those amendments didn't even make it through the process. The only 2 that will be on the ballot next April is giving parishes the ability to opt out of the inventory tax, and the amendment dealing with the retirement of teachers, the teacher retirement debt, and the ability to do pay raises. So of that voluminous amendment, only 2 little parts. Now, I say too little. Obviously, the inventory, and you and I have talked about that a lot, is a big deal.
It is.
But frankly, I think that's going to be one of the more difficult ones to pass. I'm just not sure that all of these parishes, particularly some of the river region parishes where they collect so much in inventory tax, is going to be on board with opting out of it.
Especially with no way to counter it. I mean, and that was one of the bigger deals of this, was nobody installed a way to counter getting rid of or waiving the inventory tax. If you were to say, no, we're good on that front, where would these municipalities pick up that revenue?
Yeah, so what they are attempting to do is that in that amendment, there is going to be what we call statutory companion. So both would have to get signed in, and they're tied to each other. They're both by decitels. So if the governor signs the statutory part in, which is sitting on his desk, if local governments opted out in the first year, they would get 3 times their previous year's inventory tax collection back from the state. The state would just issue them a check. So if they collected $10 million in the previous year, the state government would issue them a check for $30 million. However, they couldn't go to $30 million because there's a cap of up to 15. But it was let's say if it was $5 million, you'd get $15 million because there's a cap. And then if you decide to phase it out over 5 years, then there would be previous year's tax collections would be given back to you by the state up to a cap of $10 million. So there's a little pay for, but Brian, a lot of these parishes are well above what that cap is, and that's a one-time payment. It's not future revenue.
Where would that reimbursement come from, though? I mean, let me re-ask it. Where did the state get the number to come up with that reimbursement?
So that is what they are doing to try to entice. They felt like, okay, if we offer them 3 years, 3 times their previous year's collections, that may be enough for some parishes to opt out. If you hear Secretary Nelson, he believes he's had good conversations with several parishes, and they will opt out. Now, where you get the money from is also an interesting question. If you remember last session, the state passed an extra 5% on telecommunication services, okay? So this is streaming, this is cable services. It's a new 5% sales tax. The state is going to collect that just on those services, and they're going to use those collections to help pay local governments if they chose to opt out of these programs, opt out of the inventory tax.
Okay, and then meanwhile, if you are that municipality, after those 3 years are up, hopefully you've done enough to entice business to come there to where you could replace it with property taxes and sales taxes.
You nailed it on the head there, Brian. The idea is, okay, if I get rid of this uncompetitive tax in my parish, does that mean when the next big manufacturing outfit or industrial outfit needs to build warehousing or wants to store other inventory, perhaps they build in my parish because they won't be subject to this tax, whereas if another parish has not opted out, they would be. So it makes more sense, more economic sense. So it is going to breed a little competition amongst parishes.
Yes, yeah, and competition would be good for economic development overall.
Agreed. And look, I tell people we compete at the local parish level, we compete at the state level, we compete at the regional and national level, and now it's a global market. We compete on all of those stages.
This might be a stupid question. We got Jason DeCuir from Advances Consulting on with us. When it comes to inventory taxes, what kind of inventory gets taxed?
Yeah, so if you think about any inventory that would be stored for sale, so if you're the retailer, anything you got stacked up that would be stored to the end consumer. If you're a manufacturer, any final product that would be stored that may be sold to another customer to be put into goods. There are some exceptions in there. There are things that could go in to a product that would be ultimately become inventory, and that could also be taxed. But I mean, if you just think about inventory in the lay sense, that is all subject to this inventory tax. They did go in. I know we don't have time to get into it. They did go in and really change the definition of inventory. And now instead of it being here's what's included and here's what's excluded in an illustrative list, it's basically just those items that are held for final sale. It's one sentence. So it'll be interesting to see how that's interpreted in the future.
Yeah, because there is a big point of differentiation between raw materials and a finished product there.
That's correct. That is exactly right.
Oh, my goodness. How long before a legislator figures out that CO2 could be considered inventory?
Look, I would not be shocked if those thoughts have not arrived. And really, it's going to depend on which getting into carbon capture and those types of things, that is what the big debate is. What is this stuff ultimately going to be used for, and does it have a value? And those are things that are still a little bit of unknowns, but it is absolutely already factoring into the carbon capture discussion and the taxes on it. If you're talking about it stored, it's subject to a property tax. Right. You have to figure out what the value of it. Does it have a value? And then local governments or assessors could begin to tax it.
I hate when I'm trying to be funny and I'm dead on right. That's crazy.
No, these are real issues. These are real issues.
That's awesome. We got about a minute left with Jason DeCuir from Advances Consulting. If you could in this last minute, I handicap the likelihood of a special session. I don't. Is there a want for it by the legislators?
You would have to imagine those guys are tired. Yeah. But look, the governor has been good about getting them to kind of corral around things that did not get done that he wants to get done. Obviously he's called special sessions on the rewrite of the congressional maps, special sessions on crime, special sessions on tax. Are these two issues too niche in nature? I don't know. The other thing is, there was this little debate between the Senate president and the governor over the Gator program. So Since this is one that the Senate president felt strongly about, obviously he also has a pretty good command over the Senate. Who trumps there? Can the governor get the senators back in to fully fund the Gator program? That's essentially where most of it got pushed out. And then, how much do they want to come back in and deal with this PBM and CVS issue? How motivated will they be, Brian? That's tough to tell. We'll see how hard he continues to push.
Yeah, the PBM thing, the pharmacy benefit manager thing, to me, that is one that can sit until the next regular session, then they can address it again. Yeah,
I agreed. If that's where they want to go, and look, I'm sure you're reading the paper. There's been lawsuits filed, and this issue is not going to go away for a while, even if they don't call a special session.
In the meanwhile, I always appreciate the time. I'll let you get back to it. Enjoy the baseball. Have fun in Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. He is Jason DeCuir from Advances Consulting. Always appreciate it, Jason. Thanks a million.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. We blew right past ABC News right there. Here comes your local news, traffic, weather. We got Crimestoppers next. I totally pulled that out of my ass about taxing the CO2. What the F? No, I thought I was being funny. And
then he's like, no.
What you say, sir? Yes, sir. No spots open right now, but tell him to get his resume in here so he'll be top of the list whenever something pops. We're fully staffed right now. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. 8:15. I might have to bump them up to 8:05. That's going to depend on. I'm trying to get Speaker DeVilliers on to recap the session. I'm aiming for 7:15 for him right now. Oh, I thought my mic was on for the bubble.
No, I muted it, but what we were talking about was Dave's Hot Chicken, right?
Dave's Hot Chicken.
Ooh,
yeah.
I
will say this though, in complete transparency, took a half an hour to get my chicken yesterday.
Okay.
Half an hour.
But they just opened, right? If they
yeah. Like yesterday was day one.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Okay. I knew it was coming up. I didn't realize it was.
And they'll scream at you when you walk through the door.
Okay.
Scream at you.
Welcome to day, like the entire team, and that's going to go away hopefully very soon. That's you're trying to put on your best foot forward, and hopefully they'll get a little bit more process friendly,
Wow.
But man,
So is it hot, just heat, or is there some flavor in there, or is it just hot for the sake of being hot?
so I got a chicken tender and a slider. The slider I got medium, which I probably should have gotten the hot on the slider. Just play it. I probably should have got hot on the slider because you had like coleslaw and pickle to kind of absorb some of the heat, and of course the bun.
Yeah.
But the chicken finger itself, oh man! Like as I'm eating it, I'm like, this is gonna hurt my tum tum.
It looks so good.
It is good.
Red sauce.
And hot is the third from the highest. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Sounds like a challenge.
yes,
That's what I'm talking about.
yes. And the challenge was producing LSU baseball last night. Was still there. Went to the gym and everything after I ate that, and I'm like,
Ooh.
you know, when you have like that, you can't catch up with the hydration with the dry mouth, you know.
Yeah. Jeez.
737 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, getting you to Crime Stoppers in exactly 60 seconds. Enough time for me to remind you about the folks over at Vex European. Check them out online at vexeuropean.com. That's V as in Vinny. vexeuropean.com. I was by there week before last to get my car. Just the once over, you know, the oil change and the, hey, this thing's 18 years old. Make sure it's not going to break down on me. And then, of course, headed down to New Orleans after that. That's a good feeling to be like secure and that your vehicle is taken care of with somebody who knows your vehicle inside and out. I drive a Mercedes. I get a Mercedes tech. If you drive a BMW, you'll get a BMW tech. Audi, Land Rover, Jaguar, you name it. Check out the mix of vehicles at vexeuropean.com and then go by and see my guy Vinny over there on Benefit Drive, the backside of Industriplex for Vex European. Time for Crime Stoppers. Let's go. Yes, it's time for Crime Stoppers, and yes, we welcome back Lieutenant Don Coppola. How are you, sir?
Hey, Brian. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
Good.
Doing very well. Late night last night, but worth it, you know?
I hear it was one heck of a game.
It was. I mean, 6-5, your final score. LSU moves on to the championship round. The finals, the best 2 out of 3 in the finals. So, but, you know, when you have the outcome come out that way, when you're on the winning side, it doesn't sting as much the next day. The adrenaline gets pumping. So, we have a lot to cover this morning.
Yes,
I'm just going to hand it off to you. Like, where do you want to start?
Let's start with Sergeant Caleb Osworth.
Yes, please.
And that incident. And everyone by now has heard what occurred, and the outreach has been incredible. You know, Caleb and I are brothers in blue. We are friends. One of the greatest individuals you could come across. And then for this to happen to somebody like that, it's just, there's no words. But today, from 9 to 3, Baton Rouge Police Headquarters, 9000 Airline Highway, they're having a blood drive. From 11 to 1, they're having a benefit, jambalaya benefit. So if you're in the area, if you're able to stop by, traffic is going to be horrendous, I'm sure.
Yeah.
There's a map on the Baton Rouge Police Facebook page directing people from Connell's Village, you know, where to go in, loop around and exit out. But what can you say about something this tragic? Last I heard, you know, he was making positive steps as far as the recovery. But Brian, he has such a long way to go, and unfortunately, with the type of injuries sustained from this, the chances of slipping or taking one or two steps backwards is very common. You hear this all the time. So, we continue to ask, keep him in your thoughts, your prayers, your good wishes, and let's hopefully see him back on the job sooner than later.
Yeah, the recovery process is going to be a lengthy one, to be
much.
sure. And it's like where we're at right now is just very much wait and see, which is one of the harder parts about this, because there's no long-term prognosis yet.
No long-term, no.
And the mentality behind the guilty party here, or the alleged party here, is one that, and we're going to have in our next segment the video message from Chief Morse that he put out yesterday about how this mentality is not to be tolerated by any stretch of the imagination.
No, and stopping and thinking back at this, it's there's so many questions on why, and this was somebody who was just out performing duties, everyday duties of their job.
Yeah.
A traffic stop wasn't made. No interaction was had, to the best of my knowledge. Just a sitting duck almost.
Yeah. Yeah. It was see cop, hit cop.
Yes.
And brag about it on social media.
There's no words. And the words that come to mind, we have to keep to ourselves, because
of
this
course.
But
we have FCC regulations.
Yes, but the outreach, and as far as the 8 parishes that Crimestoppers covered, we go through and communicate with those departments on a daily basis, and just them posting or sharing the post of him, whatever y'all need, it's been incredible, and the community themselves, and again, if you're out and about near Baton Rouge Police Headquarters today, again, 9000 Airline Highway, the site of the old women's hospital, just have patience, because it's going to be huge.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And you said the blood drive from 9 to 1, the jambalaya sale from 11 to 1, correct?
The blood drive from 9 to 3.
9 to 3, okay.
And the jambalaya from 11 to 1.
Gotcha. Going on all day long, and this will not be the last fundraiser, I'm sure.
No, this is
not the last opportunity to help, but
many.
hey, this is going to be the first opportunity to help. So while there will be a crowd, while there will be a bit of a line, wait out the line if you can. Every ounce of help is appreciated, and we don't know when the next opportunity will be. There will be other opportunities.
There will be
just
other
don't know when they're going to be.
We don't know when it's going to be, but you think back of events. I'm not going to say similar, but other devastating events that have happened, and Baton Rouge always comes together. The community, the support for public safety as a whole. It's just you hate that it has to be under these circumstances, and it is all the time, but even more so when you have something tragic as what we're dealing with now.
Yeah, but so this is one. While it didn't affect as many people, the intent is no different than Gavin Long back in 2016.
No different intent, and it affected, yes, just not as many law enforcement, but it did because of the brothers and sisters and family, and it's just devastating.
Yes, it is. This is our Crime Stopper segment. Of course, the phone number for Crime Stoppers is 344-STOP. 344-STOP is the number. You've got the P3 app. You've got the Crime Stoppers Facebook page, the Crime Stoppers website. There are many, many ways to get in touch with Crime Stoppers. And, the mantra is, if you see something, say something.
Absolutely. And going to the Facebook page, Brian, Baton Rouge Police is looking to seek the identity of a couple individuals that they believe the latter part of May They had a male walking across a parking lot in the 1100 block of Bob Pettit when he was confronted by two subjects. Those subjects are posted on the Capital Region Crimestoppers Facebook page. Pretty good pictures. For reasons unknown, the suspects believed to have punched the victim in the face, causing him to lose consciousness.
Oh, no.
The suspects entered a white Dodge Ram and fled the area without offering any type of assistance to the victim. Again, the pictures are pretty good pictures of these individuals, and we would like for someone to give us a call, 344-7867. Go to the P3 Tips app. Go to our website, crimestoppers225.com, and get us some names of these people so they can be passed on to the investigators so they can continue their investigation and find out exactly what went on that evening and get that cleared up.
Yeah, the photos, the guy in the Wally Pano jersey is a very, very clear photo. The other one, a little bit fuzzier, but there's numerous features that you could point out there. The beard, mustache, the glasses.
Absolutely.
While it's not the clearest of photos, if you know that guy, you
can
know that
still
guy.
make that
Yeah,
out.
absolutely. The one in the, I believe it's Wally Pano there, jersey.
I believe so, yeah, 31.
Yep.
You're going back a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah. So, would love to know the backstory behind that. Even though, I mean, it's the backstory doesn't really matter. You punch someone and knock them
out. But investigators do want to know what led to this act.
Yeah.
Moving on, we spoke of this individual before, Lawrence London, wanted out of Ascension Parish, domestic abuse, battery, strangulation, assault charges, improper telephone communication. So if you have information on the whereabouts of Lawrence London, give us a call, or you can even have him or any of our fugitives. Hey, I saw you on Crimestoppers. You need to take care of your business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and avoid the embarrassment of people going out to wherever you are, apprehending you. Just make it easy on yourself and give us a call.
Okay, so that's an aspect we never really talk about there. We always talk about if you see something, say something. But yeah, this plays in your favor. If you are the guilty party, it plays in your favor to be cooperative.
Absolutely, and why not? And Brian, we receive phone calls from individuals that were on our website that have taken care of their business. They've cleared everything up.
Mm-hmm.
Said, hey, I'm trying to do the right thing, make steps in a positive direction. I'm looking for employment, but this may be holding me back. Is there any way we can have this removed? And you know what? Absolutely. We're not in the business to embarrass someone. We just want to help you get whatever matter you have worked out, finish with, and move on.
And there's also there's also the aspect of this of telling your side of the story.
Absolutely.
There is that side can't be heard unless you speak up.
Unless you speak up, hey, I didn't do that, or that wasn't me. Hey, guess what? Call us. Let's get this worked out and move on.
Yep. We got to get out of here for your money now. But before we do, though, you want to give a preview of what's coming on tomorrow on the show?
Yes. I don't want to give too much out, but tomorrow around the 8 a.m. hour,
8:50,
we're going to have our executive director, Johnny Dunham, share some news with a fundraiser coming up next weekend that it's you don't want to miss.
Be on the lookout for that tomorrow. In the meanwhile, I always appreciate the time, Don.
Thank you, Brian.
Here's your money now.
As always, thank you.
Sorry, I got like 8 texts all in a row. No, it's the sauce I asked for. I walked into that myself.
I think we need to do sauce challenge. taking a sip of water and milk.
You ever watch the Hot Ones challenge?
Yeah.
That would be like do like a spin on that.
I like it.
Kind of work our way from the least hottest to the hottest.
I like it. What you think? You in?
No, I'm not in. No, I'm terrible with that.
Why?
There's a certain level of hot that after that, it's not hot anymore. It's just melting your face like you saw the Ark of the Covenant.
And then you have to deal with it again on the backside.
That's
Well, I've
right.
had the bomb, that sauce.
Where's
on
the?
that
Yeah,
sauce.
I'm looking for the levels of sauce here.
I've had the bomb. I've had 2 tablespoons of it, just by itself.
From Dave's?
Yeah, no, just from Hot Ones.
Oh.
Yeah, the show. There's a sauce called the bomb.
Yeah.
2 tablespoons of it, and
That was enough.
at my like uncontrollably just leaking from nose, eyes, mouth. Uncontrollably.
Right. I don't understand the want to
just
do
like-
that. It's like that one chip challenge thing.
Yeah.
Never did that either.
I'm kind of afraid of that. I don't know why. I'm afraid of the one chip challenge. I've done.
Where's
bomb.
the sauces?
Oh, the Scoville. Yeah.
No, I mean for Dave's. Ugh. Sorry. Whatever. Hot is a third of the highest. I don't know where they have the listing of the ranking of what their levels of heat are.
So I mean, the food's pretty good.
But see, like my thing is, I like hot. I do, but hot that has to have flavor to it.
Yeah, I'm reading about this. These spices here. I'm like, dang. To enjoy it, I'd probably go with the medium. But if I just wanted to just
So, like, hot was hot,
yeah,
and it was enjoyable as hot,
yeah,
but it did some damage.
sweating a little bit.
No sweat,
Really?
but a rumbly,
Mm.
a good rumbly. Like, oh, I'm gonna pay for this, and I did. Do you have the video from?
I do.
Okay, not the news
have it-
story. Like you scroll down with
have
the
it in
news story.
Adobe. It's like a 3-minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$7:55 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. So you have a tragedy like we had, or you have an incident like we had here in Baton Rouge on Monday, where where Sergeant Eisworth is hit by a guy who's going after cops. Gets hit while on his motorcycle, gets dragged on Jewel Road, and then the alleged the person who's alleged of having done it hops on social media to brag about hitting a cop, and the mentality to want to attack cops. And now you've got a member of the Baton Rouge Police Force who is in the hospital in critical condition. You've got this guy, Gad Black, who, is bragging about it. You've got an overall public who can see that things might be getting a little bit better in Baton Rouge, but you're hard-pressed to be convinced of that as a whole when incidents like this happen. What do you do if you were the chief of police? TJ Morse did this yesterday.
I wanted to stop today and make a point to thank this community and our Baton Rouge police officers for how they're showing up. From what I've seen and been briefed, the outpouring of support for Caleb, Sergeant Eisworth, has been so positive and absolutely tremendous. Thanks to every one of you for your prayers for our Baton Rouge Police family, Sergeant Eisworth, and everyone that loves him. Thanks also to the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office and Sheriff Gautreaux, who have been working diligently on this case and done a phenomenal job from scene to apprehension. Thanks as well to all the other first responders on scene on Monday, EMS, Baton Rouge Fire, and even Fire Chief Kimball. Our Lady of the Lake Hospital staff has been phenomenal in handling Sergeant Eisworth's care, and I'm grateful for all the links they're going to ensure his recovery. What happened on Monday was gut-wrenching for me as a 23-year veteran of this department, but especially as chief. Caleb is a tremendous officer. He's worked in our motors division for 18 years, but more than that, he's a husband, father, and friend that's deeply loved and respected. He didn't do anything to deserve what's happened to him. Anyone trying to justify this attempted murder on a public servant is flat out wrong, shameful, and it's dangerous rhetoric. Caleb was intentionally attacked because he put on his work uniform and showed up to serve the Baton Rouge community. We will use all of our resources to find and arrest anyone that hurts one of my officers or even makes online threats towards them. I've been to the hospital several times. So too have members of my command staff and many, many other officers to visit with the Eisworth family and check on Caleb's progress. He suffered multiple severe injuries and remains in critical condition. Although we've been told there have been several signs of slow improvement in the right direction, and we're all extremely grateful for that. We're praying that Caleb has a recovery that's as speedy as possible, considering the seriousness of his injuries, and also that those involved see the justice that they deserve. To the men and women of our Baton Rouge Police Department, this is a cruel reminder to stay vigilant, but now is the time to remember your why. You, who are our citizens depend on for help and an integral part of what makes this community safer. Your commitment to professionalism is commendable, and from the support I've witnessed in the aftermath of this incident, your commitment is deeply valued by this community. To the community, let me ask this favor. When you see our officers out there working hard to serve this city, please make an effort to show your appreciation. A smile, a wave, a nod, and a simple thank you truly goes a long way. If you'd like to do more to support Sergeant Eisworth and his family, we will be partnering to host a jambalaya dinner sale and blood drive at Baton Rouge Police Department headquarters this Thursday, starting at 9 a.m. Please monitor our Facebook page for more details on this and future ways you can help. It's so important we come together to help this family. Again, thank you, and let's continue to keep Sergeant Eisworth, his loved ones, and our entire Baton Rouge Police Department family in your prayers. One city, one mission.
Could not ask for more from a chief of police right there. He covered it all. Here comes news. What you say, Rich?
I talked to 3 officers yesterday, a long time, including Dabney. They're so fucking livid that he lost his spine because he hadn't said a fucking thing. And everything
donate blood.
Yeah, I guess because this whole time, I mean, you're trying to see it from a police standpoint. You're trying to, you know.
806 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now. Brian here with you, John LaBeouf producing, getting you ready for a busy hour. This hour, we'll have this day in history for you in a little over a minute. We'll talk with Matt Musso, host of Musso at the Box, also the producer of After Further Review. Matt's a deep-rooted baseball guy. We got some baseball to talk about. Remarkable stuff going on in Omaha last night with LSU. Advancing to the finals. We'll break it down with Musso coming up at 8:15. 8:35, it's back in the legislative session. State Representative Mike Melerine from around Shreveport Way, the author of the bill that got rid of the Housley presumption, and a whole lot more of just legislative postmortem, little post-game show, if you will. Going to be doing this until probably the rest of the summer because there's just so much to unpack. They got a lot done in 2 months' time. A lot. And we're going to break down as much of it as we possibly can. Mike Melerine at 8:35. Like I said, this day in history coming up in just over 60 seconds. Enough time for me to remind you about the folks over at Breck. Check them out online at breck.org. B-R-E-C, breck.org. Whatever it is you are into, they've got you covered. When you're talking about athletics, when you're talking about sports and whatnot, I mean, baseball, basketball, football, kickball, pickleball, rugby, soccer, softball, tennis. They've got so many different sports that you can take part in with Breck's facilities. When you're talking about just getting out of the house, getting out in nature, and enjoying what they have to offer on that front, they have not just the facilities, but also the events. You want to talk about, let's say, okay, let's go with Outdoor Adventure. I'm on breck.org right now. Let's go with Outdoor Adventure. What they got coming up? How about this? Next Wednesday, a sunset paddle at Milford Wampold Memorial Park. So getting in the lake and doing a little paddling going on. That looks like it's every other Wednesday out at Milford Wampold Memorial Park. Kayaks and coffee coming up in August at the same park. It just, whatever it is you're into. Who thought kayaking would have the same level of access as pickleball, as the same level of access as golf, as running, as basketball, frisbee golf, rugby, you name it. They've got you covered, and it starts at breck.org. All right, time for this day in history. Let's roll.
All right.
Yes.
Let's start off in 1865.
Of course.
Where Union General Gordon Granger declares slaves free in Texas. Now the end of slavery is celebrated across the U.S. as Juneteenth.
Yep.
As today.
Yeah, I don't know why Galveston was like such a pivotal point here.
Right.
Union soldiers arriving in Galveston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
They got to Galveston. They went to Rainforest Cafe. Hit the beach for a little while. They're like, what were we doing here? Oh, yeah. Everyone's free now. We probably should have mentioned that at the top.
1941, U.S. President Franklin Roosevelt signs the Two-Ocean Navy Expansion Act, increasing the size of the U.S. Navy by 70%.
Okay.
Let's see. 1964, Civil Rights Act of 1964 passes, 73-27.
Okay.
1990, Prince plays his first of 12 sold-out nights at Wembley Arena in London, England. Sold it out twice. 12 times.
Prince?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man. 1991, Colombian drug lord Pablo Escobar surrenders to police.
No kidding.
That was this day, yes.
I didn't know that.
This day, also 1999. This is fascinating. Stephen King is hit by a car on the shoulder of Route 5 in Maine. He would suffer numerous injuries, including a collapsed right lung, multiple fractures of his right leg, scalp laceration, and a broken hip.
Goodness gravy.
Wow. Wonder if he ever wrote about it. Turn that
King?
into a story. Yeah.
Wait.
It's Stephen King.
Was that Misery?
Yeah. Oh. No, this would have been 99, so that would have been...
I've been well after Misery.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Let's see. 2018, U.S. Ambassador Nikki Haley announces to the U.S. she is leaving the UN. Announces the U.S. is leaving the UN Human Rights Council.
Okay.
So, yep. Let's see. 2023, search and rescue mission begins for the Titan submarine on an expedition to explore the wreck
And they're not
of the
going to find
Titanic.
anything. No.
They're
Not
still
gonna
doing
find
documentaries on that today.
Yeah, I know.
Insane. Anything else on this day?
It's only a matter of time before someone's like, you know where they got it wrong, and then they try to replicate it.
Oh, of course.
Titan 2 or whatever. Stupid.
Mm.
I was on this day in 2016 that LeBron James fulfilled his promise to Cleveland, bringing the Cavs their first championship ever.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice. Moving on to birthdays?
Sure.
I got Mo Howard here.
Hang on.
Whoa, wait.
This day in 2019, with the first pick in the NBA draft, the New Orleans Pelicans select Zion Williamson.
Okay.
And then the Grizzlies got Ja Morant.
Good stuff.
6 hours later, Zion Williamson got hurt and he stayed that way. I'm just kidding.
Aw.
Womp womp.
Birthdays?
Yeah.
All right. Mo Howard.
No
Three
kidding.
Stooges.
I love that.
Oh man. Let's see. Got a couple sports ones here, but I'll let you handle those. Let's see who else we got here. Scroll along. Oh, actress Zoe Saldana today as well. Paula Abdul today. Let's see who else we got. Charles Spurgeon as well today.
Who?
Charles Spurgeon.
I don't know who that is. Who is that?
Come on, man. Well, where do I begin? Got the nickname Prince of Preachers. He's yeah.
Oh, okay.
18th century.
You don't know.
Pastor. Spurgeon?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm going for hours on Spurgeon. I don't know if we have enough time for Spurgeon.
I mean, give me like 3 sentences.
Yeah, I mean, one of the, I don't know.
All right. Dirk Nowitzki, born on this day in 1978. Got Luke Gehrig, born on this day in 1903. And then you had one more from the world of sports, and that was former Georgia Bulldog and ESPN analyst David Pollack, born on this day in 1982.
All right. Deaths?
Big one.
I'm going to let you handle it.
Yep.
That's you.
Yeah. Was it 2013, I believe it was?
Yes. Yep.
2013, Tony Soprano. James Gandolfini died of a heart attack on this day in 2013. So, Yep. Also, the Rosenbergs. The Rosenbergs were executed on this day in 1953. Julius and Ethel Rosenberg, they were executed for espionage.
Man, what year was that?
1953.
Oh, 53.
Wow.
Oof. That was pretty much, the gist of, I don't know. Yeah, that's pretty much all I would have had, too.
On the deaths?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's any big ones?
No.
Anton Yelchin.
Oh, yeah, there
but
was
he's
one
kinda-
more. Sam Giancana.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sam
mobster
Giancana.
Sam Giancana. What national days you got?
Well, we have Juneteenth, of course.
Yes.
Um,
Tell you what, let's call it at that.
yeah.
Because there's no reason that Juneteenth should have to share the news cycle there. It is when the way I like to put it is it's when our nation became whole.
Yeah.
You know, July 4th is where we celebrate our independence from Great Britain, but our nation didn't become whole until everyone was free, and that is why we celebrate Juneteenth. So,
Indeed.
absolutely, that is what we don't need to water that down with some other national, cherry cobbler day or something stupid.
Right.
So, all right, it is. Oh, we're at 8:15 to talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Quick break. Come back. We got Matt Musso next.
Musso, is he calling in? Is Musso calling in, or is he?
Could be.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna call him.
We're gonna call him. Okay. I was gonna say I might have his. I should have his number. Let's see.
You have his number?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna call him real quick. Hey, good morning, Matt. John. Hey. Yeah, looking to have you on here in about a minute or so. All right. Summer's calling.
Eight 818, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. I missed a death there in the celebrity deaths there. This day in 2010, Manute Bol. Missed out on that one. Yep, that's my bad. Sorry about that. Rest in peace, Manute Bol. Big night last night. Big night last night. It was huge. LSU put on a show. Arkansas kind of crumbled. Culmination, 6-5 Tigers win. Joining us now to break it down, Matt Musso, host of Musso at the Box, and of course, producer of AFR. Muse, how you doing?
I am fantastic, man.
Have
How
you
could
slept?
I have slept, not
Okay.
very much. When you texted me last night and said any chance for 8:15, I was like, I mean, I'm not going to bed anytime soon, but sure, why not? I'll have plenty of energy. I don't think I've been this awake and alert in the morning since, I don't know, probably about 2 years ago this very time. So, man, I'm still trying to figure out what happened at the end of that ball game in the last few innings, because that game was hammered drunk. Like, goodness gracious.
So let's break this down, and we can start with the last inning and then kind of rewind back from there. But the decision for the put out at third instead of going for the double play, what was he thinking?
He wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Vahiva Aloy is a top 15 pick in the draft. He might win the Golden Spikes Award for National Player of the Year this coming weekend in Omaha. Like, all of those things are plausible for him. He had been equally as good at shortstop defensively as Stephen Milam has been this year. I mean, that is the heart and soul of their team. And he just completely had a brain fart out there on the field in the biggest moment of the season. And it triggered the rest of the events. I mean, you don't get a more tailor-made double play ball than that. When they show the replay of it on the broadcast, Stephen Milam is not even to the runner's lane yet when the ball reaches Aloy, and he never even looks at second base. It was not a thought in his mind. The thought in his mind was, let's get the lead runner, let's get the force out. And unfortunately, in that spot, that is not the right play, especially when that double play ends the ball game and forces the decisive game 3, which is everything you were setting out to do on Wednesday night if you were Arkansas.
Well, I mean, you look at it, it was a 2-run lead. If you don't get the lead runner, that just gets you a 1-run lead. I mean, if he's left on third with 2 outs if he's left on third and you don't get the double play, it's only costing you 1 of your 2-run lead. You had the cushion right there. The play in left field, I feel bad for the kid because he lost his footing. First step was backwards, and fundamentally, your first step is supposed to be backwards.
Yes.
First step was backwards. He lost his footing, and then at that point, it became an all-or-nothing play. You would want to say textbook, keep the ball in front of you, but once he lost his footing, that was over with.
It was, and I mean, that is the hardest ball for an outfielder to read.
Mm-hmm.
It is the one that's hit on a low line right at you, because it's tough to gauge if it's going over your head and you need to go back or if you need to come in. And it was hit so hard, he didn't have time to think after he took his first step back, and he had to rush in, and he did. He lost his footing, and he never even got a glove on it. I mean, it hit him in his shoulder, and it kicked away. But that's an unfortunate play. But I credit Luis Hernandez there too. That's a kid who has just come through with big swings for LSU time and time again this year. Whether it was the tying home run against Missouri, the go-ahead run against Texas, the doubles he had in the Oklahoma series that scored runs, the homers in the regional. I mean, there's been so many of them now that I've actually lost count. I used to just run through all of them in synchronization, but that one's at the top of the list. That's a guy who, I mean, he smoked that baseball, and Davalon got wrong-footed in left, lost his footing, and it went over his head. It's a tough break, but again, it starts with not turning the double play at shortstop.
Yeah, it does. We're talking with Matt Musso, host of Musso at the Box, breaking down last night's LSU win, advancing them to the College World Series Finals. Before we start to preview Coastal Carolina, there's a lot more to break down from last night's game. Bear Jones, I mean, he's the guy. He's supposed to do what he did last night. He's supposed to homer. The clutch single, I think, bigger than the homer because it drove in the run. But what have you seen from Bear Jones in terms of adjusting his swing to not always shoot for the moon?
Yeah, I mean, I see what I've seen from him earlier this season when he was hitting 400 for like the first month and a half. And I get the competition, and that's fine. But you're seeing that what he was doing plays against anybody, especially in this postseason. And it's not just the opposite field hits, because those are huge for him. That tells you he's seeing the ball, he's letting it travel, and he's strong enough to drive it the other way. But it's shortening up as well when you do that. But it was even the first hit. The first and the last hit that he had, he did the same exact thing against Arkansas I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The first one, Bitleshees threw him a slider, and he got down below the breaking ball and was able to get the barrel on the lower half of the ball and drive it. That's letting it travel and understanding your approach. He did the very same thing on Jimenez in the ninth inning on the walk-off. If you go back and watch it, he sinks into his legs, he gets below the ball, and he fights it off the other way. He hits it where it was pitched. Jared Jones, plenty of times throughout his career, would have rolled over that slider away. And there was one previous in that at-bat where he spoiled it foul right side as well. So he's just completely locked in. He's understanding the mechanics of his swing. And when he was hitting 400 a month and a half into this season or so, he was using the backside of the field exceptionally well. You look at this, he had in the super regional, or I'm sorry, it was the regional, a big backside RBI hit on a breaking ball. He had another one last night, and his 2 homers in Omaha have also gone to right center field as well, and they have just been complete tanks from Jared Jones. He's completely locked in.
Talk with Matt Musso, host of Musso at the Box, breaking down last night's LSU baseball win. Let's move over to the bump. Let's talk pitchers. As Arkansas made their way through the first time through the lineup into the second time, Doug Thompson said on the broadcast line, he said, "This is where it's going to get interesting." Were you expecting Zach Cowan to make it through the lineup a second time?
No, I was not at the start of the ball game. But once he got through those first 2 innings, where he gave up some pretty hard contact, but he was able to just get around it.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was like, okay, let's let him go. Just let him go. Let's see what he's got, because he's a starter from the past and the ace of a rotation in his past. You know he can do it, and you know he can at least do it at an SEC level given his success earlier in the year. I agree with Doug. That was when it was going to get interesting, but he had shown you enough in those first 2 to say, okay, let's let him see. And the more he hung zeros, the more you believe. And by the time he got to the middle of that order again, I said, okay, he's going to get you, 12, 15 outs in this ball game. He ended up getting you 16.
Yep.
But he was awesome. And here's the thing. They changed it up with him. And that's why. I mean, Arkansas was going in there. They had seen Cowan before and didn't have a lot of success against him. But they're going in there thinking fastball changeup, because that's what Zach Cowan has been all year. And he mixed last night more than he has all year with the slider. That was a lot of slider, and to his credit, he executed them perfectly. He had a great feel for that pitch, and that's noteworthy because, I don't know what I just said, he hadn't thrown it a whole bunch this year. So for him, in the biggest moment of his career, in the biggest moment of LSU's season at that point, to go out there, have a feel for that pitch on both sides of the plate, to go along with the fastball, which had exceptional arm side run last night, that just, all of that makes the changeup even better. And that was the key to Cowan. And I thought they pulled him at the right time, because the only person who had any success against him was Ryder Helfrich, and he was coming up with a guy on base in the 6th inning. They went and got him. They got Jaden Newt. He was great. And those 2 guys through those first 6 innings really set the tone for LSU, being able to hold Arkansas to just the 1 run.
Not the Monday morning, or in this case, Thursday morning quarterback here, but 4 righties in the game. I mean, there was no want for a different look.
I guess not. And, you the only ones you would have gone to were Williams and Primo. When you saw Williams the last time, he was the beneficiary of some pretty unfortunate luck against UCLA. But once that luck kind of started to turn on him, he didn't respond particularly great and walked that next guy pretty easily. So you look at that, and the other thing is, it's the conversation we all talked about leading into the start for Cade Anderson. Arkansas hits 348 or 350 or so off of left-handed pitching this year. So they hit 300 off of righties as well. But I think you're just playing the percentages there. And, I mean, Cade Anderson's 1 of 1, so it doesn't matter if they could hit 500, and it doesn't really matter. He's just potentially going to be the first overall pick in the draft in a month. So, or actually less than a month, like 2 weeks. So, I mean, I think it goes into that first and foremost. Is the lefties you had available, Cooper just pitched the day before, and Arkansas's success against left-handed pitching this season.
We've got 2 minutes left with Matt Musso. Let's fast forward to Saturday and Sunday and potentially Monday as well. Back in 2016, the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers went through the Baton Rouge Super Regional on their way to Omaha. Once they got to Omaha, they beat Arizona in 2 out of 3 to win the whole thing. Is this just revenge all over the place, or is this Coastal Carolina win streak something that's formidable?
Oh, it's both.
Okay.
It's both. And yes, I remember that 2016 Super Regional very well. College-aged Musso was none too pleased. It's both. You're not going to convince me that this series doesn't mean something more to LSU fans. I don't think the players care that much about it, but I know Jay Johnson does because he was victimized by that same team, and he has talked about that championship series in the media while he's been at LSU no less than at least 30 times.
Yeah.
That is still on his mind, and it will be, and he wants to beat that team. He'll never tell, he's never going to let you know leading up to it how much he wants to beat them. Maybe after he will.
Yeah.
But that's something that matters. So revenge is all over the place here for sure. But that's a legit baseball team. You do not win 26 games in a row by mistake. I don't care who you're playing, especially when it carries through the postseason. They are legit on the mound, like legit on the mound with Fluky, with Jacob Morrison, then with Riley Eichhoff. They have a real three-headed monster of a rotation, and they are set up, and all of them are available to pitch here in this championship series. Their catcher is going to be a first-round draft pick and is elite behind the plate and a great switch hitter. And then they have a bunch of players in their lineup that play their role very well. This is a team that understands who they are, and that is one that manufactures runs exceptionally well, mainly by getting hit by pitches. They have set the NCAA record this year for being hit by a pitch. And it's a very veteran ball club. And Coastal isn't just some mid-major coming in. Like, Coastal to me very much reminds me of those Wichita State and Cal State Fullerton teams you would see in the 90s who were just always there because they were damn good programs at that point. And, those teams won national championships.
Yeah.
That's kind of who Coastal is, man. And, yeah, it's revenge, and it's a real baseball team. They are second in the nation in team ERA.
Why? But, I mean, putting them up against Anderson and Ianson, I've got to lean towards LSU, though.
Well, yeah, of course, because as good as Cameron Flukie and Jacob Morrison are, neither of those guys have the potential to go 1-1 in the draft.
Right.
And, I mean, Anderson and Ianson, I believe, will be selected before both of them in the draft. And they're the best 1-2 punch in the country. But Flukie and Morrison are not far behind them. They've been exceptional all year as well. So the wind is going to be blowing in.
Yep.
At an immense, I think I heard earlier 20, 25 mile an hour gusts potentially over the weekend.
Correct.
Getting the ball out of that park ain't going to be easy. So with those pitchers on the mound, play the unders, and it's going to come down to some really big hits. And LSU's gotten some really big hits in this tournament. I fully expect Anderson and Ianson to go out there and be the guys they've been all year. I just expect Coastal Carolina's guys to as well.
Biggest difference between this year and 2016, if you ask me, is that you're going to see them coming with Coastal Carolina.
Yeah.
They were a Cinderella then. They are not a Cinderella now. They've developed themselves into a real legit program, which means you will see them coming. So that to me, that's the biggest difference.
For sure. I agree. And I think LSU in 25 is also a better team than they were in 26. Not that the 2016 team wasn't good. I mean, a lot of those players came back the next year and played for a national championship. Yeah. They were just kind of a year away at that point. And yeah, I mean, maybe you don't take Coastal Carolina as seriously as you should have then. But that was eased by them winning the national championship. It's like, okay, that was actually a really good team.
Yeah.
That was a 2 seed. They were a 2 seed in the regional that year. They weren't a slouch. So it just, you'll see them coming. They'll have everyone's respect. That's for sure, yes.
He is Matt Musso, producer of AFR and host of Musso at the Box. We always appreciate the time, man.
Appreciate you, Brain. See you later.
See you in a bit. Quick break for news, traffic, weather. We got State Representative Michael Melerine next. Okay. I need you to pull up 840 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Time to dive back into the legislative session. State Representative Mike Melerine. Ignore that music, Mike. State Representative Mike Melerine on with us. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well as well. You had a big session. Where do you want to start?
Let's just jump into insurance stuff.
Okay, Mr. Housley Presumption, Mike Melerine on with us. Walk us through it, man. How'd you get across the finish line?
Yeah, look, this did not start with me. This started with former representative, now Secretary of Department of Revenue, Richard Nelson. He ran the bill back in 2021. He got it all the way through the process, and it was vetoed by the former administration. Last year, before we went into the first session, I talked to him. I got to know Richard when I was on Bessie, some of the education stuff he did. And I went up to him and told him, look, I'm going to run your bill again. I tweaked it a little bit last year, and it didn't make it through. And then told everybody, look, I'm going to bring it back. A little bit different version in the beginning, and then talking through some senators, some reps with the governor's office. We kind of all agreed, let's just go back to what Rep. Nelson did back in 2021. And that's pretty much the version that was signed into law. So it was a long process, but I'm glad we finally got it across the finish line.
For those that don't know, just give the re-explanation of what the Housley presumption was.
Yeah. So short version, basically, if you're going to claim that your injuries were caused by an accident, you have the burden of proving it. It overturns a Supreme Court case that shifted the burden from the person claiming to the person defending the suit. So in almost every instance, if you're going to make an allegation, it's your burden to prove it. Before we passed this law, it was actually on the defendant in most cases to prove that it wasn't caused by the accident, and proving a negative is something that's not impossible, but it's really hard to do. Mm-hmm. And so this just says, look, if you're going to make that allegation, it's up to you to prove it and establish it. So level fairness.
This was one of a handful of insurance-based bills that did cross the finish line, coupled together. And we're going to break down some of the other ones in a second, but coupled together, do you feel like y'all got enough done in this session for us to see some relief when it comes to our premiums?
Look, put it this way. I heard somebody say it yesterday, and I think that's perfect. Going back to what we all watched last night in LSU baseball, it's like hitting a double. I wish we would have hit a homer, but we hit a double.
Okay, but were there runners on when you hit the double?
There's probably one runner on.
Okay.
So look, the Housley, Jason DeWitt's, Rep. DeWitt's, no pay, no play, especially Rep. Chenevier's modified comparative fault, and then not yet to be signed, Senator Reese's medical transparency bill. Those four bills absolutely move the needle a lot. The only kind of reason why I say that's not a home run is Senator Reese's bill, and he'll tell you, and we said it during committee, it doesn't address everything. And that's why Rep. Carlson came back and filed a resolution to look at the situations where you don't use health insurance or you don't use Medicaid, Medicare, or workers' comp. And there's an issue there where if you're just a cash pay, for example, is what it's called. And we're going to look into it, and we've asked the Department of Insurance to look into possible solutions. Look, I'll tell you, that's an issue that's not confined to Louisiana. It's pretty much every state has to look at that, and very few states have figured out how to address that issue. Mm-hmm. And that's something we need to keep looking at. And then also, like there's, I know Commissioner Temple has said it, HB 148, where it's not just me, but a number of people have heard concerns from insurance providers and carriers that it may have a chilling effect on the market. And so you take those kind of two things, and that's what keeps it from being a home run.
Okay, HB 148, for those those who haven't kept up with it, essentially suggests that Tim Temple can make up insurance rates at a whim. I mean, I know I'm oversimplifying that, and I'm really being hyperbolic about it, but it's everything he does is actuarial. Everything he does is based off of numbers. There's no, whimsy here. There's no which way the wind is blowing.
Yeah, so the Senate went back and put some language in it that requires actuarial justification. So they did address that part of it. Now the major concern was they took another bill and put it on to 148, and it allows potential disclosure of proprietary strategies or information, like trade secrets, essentially. Basically, how a insurance company, what formula they use in order to set rates. And those formulas aren't just confined to Louisiana. They essentially use the same formula across the country. And it's a trade secret. It's their secret sauce, essentially. And so there's concern that a insurance commissioner could just release it to the public. And that's got insurance carriers really scared. And the reason why that's so important is because nobody they're not forced to do business in Louisiana.
Right.
An insurance carrier can just say, we're done. We don't want to do it. And look, we've heard from people that they haven't made their minds up, but they're really concerned that a insurance commissioner could just come in and say, this is no longer going to be kept confidential. I'm disclosing it. And then what they use across the country is just open to the public. And it wouldn't just affect what happens in Louisiana, it would affect across the country. And so they would essentially lose their advantage, or they would lose their trade secret, and it would be open to everybody. And that's got them concerned. And the reason why that's important is because if that happens, and if we lose, especially in the commercial sector, on the auto side, if we lose one carrier, it could have a catastrophic effect, and it could undo a lot of what we've done. And so I hope it's not true. I hope that, we have those conversations and everybody takes a step back and says, look, we're not pulling out of the market. But if especially on the commercial side, if we lose one carrier, even just one, everything that we did on the auto side, on the commercial side of it, it could be just completely undone.
Right.
And so I hope I'm wrong. I hope everybody that's saying we're looking at it, we're able to calm them down and say, look, this isn't going to happen. Let's just come on. Let's don't pull out of the market. But that's a major concern that a lot of us have.
Yeah, it's just as a really, really rudimentary comparison. This bill wants to reveal the Colonel's original recipe. Y'all would rather open a Popeyes next door.
Exactly. And so I hope it's wrong. Like, I hope everybody is able to say, look, not going to happen. We're fine. Let's not do this. Don't overreact. Because otherwise, all those other things that we just talked about, that is, I agree with the governor on that part. That other part of the package is, if not the largest, it's one of the largest litigation reform, insurance reform, civil justice reform, whatever you want to call it, packages in the history of Louisiana. And it is a really large step forward for especially the personal auto side.
I would argue multiple steps all at once. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Now, that being said, we have not made up ground overall. We have not made up a whole lot of ground overall. So keeping it on the insurance front, what should we look forward to in the next session to maybe pick up where we left off? Maybe a more refining of the medical transparency. Will we see a revisiting of Peter Egan's bill about the nuclear verdicts and whatnot? What do we, legislatively, what do we feel like is next?
Yeah, and look, I touched on it. Rep. Carlson has that bill or that study resolution to look into how can we address the cash pay option. Yes. I think really what you're going to see is, given how much we did just transform, let's go back. Last year, we changed the statute of limitations from 1 year to 2 years. So all of these changes that we just made, some of them don't go into effect until January 1 of 26. So you may not have, so if you get into an accident on January 1, 2026, and you're subject to all of these new laws, you don't have to file a lawsuit until December 31st of 2027. Okay, so then it takes about 2 years, give or take 2 years, for once a lawsuit's filed for it to really be come to a resolution. So you're looking at potentially 4 years from 2026. So you're looking at almost 2030 before a lawsuit that happened on January 1, 2026 may come to a resolution. So it's going to take some time. So I don't know if we're going to see any major overhauls because we need to allow it some time to sit and see what we're doing. But I think you might see some tweaks, like I said, Rep Carlson. Some of the other things, just minor tweaks, clean up some things. And that's really where we're at, I think, next year.
Now, that doesn't mean it's going to take until 2030 to see any relief on the insurance front,
No.
on the premiums front. But with that being said, how do you survive the news cycle? I mean, because between now and then, how many times are you going to hear, well, we tried tort reform and look what we got? Like, how do you survive until the next day to make sure that we could take what we've got, get its feet underneath us, and then take the next step?
It's going to be about showing small progress. Look, on the home side, we're seeing it now. Last year, we did a lot of reform on the home side and the property side. And that narrative's out there. We did all these reforms. Insurance rates are still going up on the home side. Well, if you talk to the Department of Insurance, they can tell you we've had 10 new companies come into the market. We've had another 10 to 15 companies file for rate reductions. And we said last year, it's going to take about 2 years to see. You have to get about 2 renewal cycles in, and then you'll start to see it. But at the same time, if you have something like inflation, if you have runaway inflation, that's going to affect not just your eggs and your milk and your bread. It affects insurance.
Yeah.
The cost of a shingle goes up. The cost of a piece of lumber goes up. That's reflected in your insurance.
Contents within the home. Yeah, everything.
Yeah, everything. So it's always been, I want a rate reduction. I want a rate reduction. Well, yes, in an ideal world, we all love rate reductions, and we want it. The key is really to look and see, okay, is it growing faster than inflation? And it takes some time for these things to come into effect. But we're seeing it on the home side. Yeah. There was testimony in the legislature. Some legislators said my homeowner's insurance went up last year or this year. Some of them said I got a 10, 12% reduction. So we're starting to see it. And it takes a little bit of time. But it does take people highlighting, hey, I'm seeing relief. I'm seeing relief. This company came in. And there's 2 ways to get relief. One, your existing companies reduce premiums. Or 2, you just get new companies to come in, and then competition takes over.
Yeah.
And when competition comes in, everybody starts to say, okay, I'm going to shop around. And that's one thing I would encourage everybody to do, whether it's on the auto side or the property side, like your homeowner side. You may have been with, I don't know, company X for your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, ask your agent or go to an independent agent and say, or just go online and say, look, this is what I have. This is the coverage I have. Give me a quote.
Yeah.
And shop around and see. And that's the best way to see, is this working? And that's something that my parents were guilty of it. For 30 years, they were with the same insurance company. And finally, one day they woke up and said, I'm going to look around. And they did. And they saved a decent chunk of money by shopping around. And that's one of the things that the public can do and that our citizens can do is don't be afraid to shop around. I know a lot of times your agent's your friend, personal friend, something like that. But, I mean, I hate to say it, but that's the best way to do it is to shop around, and you can see relief.
If he's your friend, he's got to do you right. In the meanwhile, he is State Representative Mike Melerine. We always appreciate the time and the work. We will talk to you soon, sir.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. We ran super long here. Quick break, come back. We're talking, Saints Hall of Fame next. I got a text from somebody else who knew about the thing that I was telling you about. They're like, you did not just do that. I'm like, yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah, happened.
What?
The thing is, like, nobody else knows what happened. Like, it's just,
Was there a specific reason for any of that, or was it just looking into, like...
We're going to run out of time, aren't we? We'll definitely get to cut. Well, let's try 16, 17. And if we could play back the call after that, we could skip Brett Maxey.
Okay.
We'll do 16, 17, then the Super Bowl cut.
Okay. No problem.
Eight 8:58 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. No time to waste here. We're going to go ahead and hit up the outside in. Today's Outside In takes you down to New Orleans, courtesy of someone from Port Allen. Tracy Porter is being inducted into the New Orleans Saints Hall of Fame. Porter talks about, take it all the way back to draft night.
She was, still just looking at the TV, and then once the pick came in and she saw my name go across the screen, you would have thought that she got drafted.
Talk about watching the draft with his mom, along with his mom. Playing for your hometown team, if you're growing up in Port Allen, New Orleans, right down the road.
It was just a great experience. Playing here week in and week out, man, the way the fans turned out, the way the support from the family, from the team, from you guys in the Who Dat Nation, man, it was unbelievable.
Of course, we all know, remember, and love Tracy Porter for this monumental moment.
Manning in the shotgun puts Collie in motion, looks in his direction. It's picked off! It's picked off! It's Tracy Porter again! He's running free! He's going to go all the way! Hand out stretch! It is a Saint touchdown! 70 yards on the return!
And that iced the Super Bowl. We're done. Moon's next. All right, guys, I got to get out of here. I got a back-to-back meetings, and then I'm setting up tomorrow's show. We'll see y'all tomorrow.